Economic time, okay.
No, but I told you, okay, Chris is,
And then-
never mind, Chris.
Brian, and then you're right.
We can all rise for the pledge, please.
Let's stand.
Mayor Gambino, can you lead us in the pledge?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence for the men and women of the armed forces, our first responders, our veterans, those fighting the good fight in the Ukraine, and those suffering from the military conflict in the Middle East. Thank you.
We're here.
Okay.
Call to order. You want to do
Diane,
phone?
would you like to call the, yeah, would you like to call the order for the Board of Finance?
Thank you. I'd like to call the Board of Finance back to order. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Thank you. Anyone?
And to the Town Council. Thank
Motion
you.
to, yes, there we go.
Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
while we're doing that, I'll plug in the phone.
That's good.
What do we gotta do with the phone then, Mr. Pete?
Welcome. To join the conference now, please enter a meeting number followed by pound. If you have a meeting code, please enter your PIN. Otherwise,
Hello?
Hello.
At least it's not going, woo.
So first, anybody from the public would like to address the joint boards? Do we have names there?
Joseph Fala, 17 Cobble Lane, New Milford. I'm told I'm going to be held to 3 minutes tonight, which is almost impossible for me, so I'm going to move quickly. Had to take a chance to take a look at a few things. You heard my comments the first night. Now that I see we are transferring from the undesignated a significant amount of money, and the one thing, and shame on me for not paying more attention, is the landfill. That opportunity to use that for tax relief ended a while ago, and that money was there to serve the community and put nice things here, parks and ball fields and all those kind of neat projects. And yet we're still going to take $800,000-900,000 out of it for tax relief. So I'm no mathematician, but take those out, and we have a budget increase almost 7%. As I mentioned last time, it's time to stop taxing and spending everybody. We can't keep up at this rate. And as I mentioned last time, even as conservative and as much as I think it hurts to make cuts, we have to. And I'm now concerned, as I mentioned last time, fixed income people, those who rent and earn hourly wages. And I'd mentioned, I'm not afraid to say I'm close to fixed income myself. I'm not far from retirement. Our car taxes, somewhere, it hurts to cut. And nobody wants to lose their job. I got it. But it's time we take another look and focus on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. Harold Hill.
Good evening. Harold Hill, 66 North Road, New Milford, Connecticut. I'm here about the Public Works budget. I know several of you know me. I've met you. And I've been coming down here for over 10 years now, railing about waste and substandard work at the Public Works Department. And I firmly believe there should be a complete audit of the Public Works Department. I've sent you at least a dozen photos in the last couple of weeks showing grossly substandard work that's been done, including on the brand new $4.5 million Mariel Road Bridge. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Harold.
Joe Baker.
Hello, Joe Baker, 14 Maplewood Drive, New Milford. I'm here to support the zoning budget. And before I say anything else, I want to say what a great job Laura and her staff do. They do an amazing job given all the things that are on their plate, and I can't praise them enough. But the one area in zoning that we need some help with is enforcement. We don't generally do a lot of enforcement, if hardly any. And it hurts people. It hurts everybody in town because the people that pay no attention to zoning have no consequence. So the people that are the good residents of New Milford that hold themselves to the zoning regulations are at a disadvantage because we don't enforce. It just gives carte blanche to the people that basically tell us to go jump in a lake. And it's not fair. And it puts the town at a disadvantage at a point where some important issue comes up and we want to enforce zoning and it goes to a court case. The person who's violating our zoning laws is going to be at an advantage because he's going to say, hey, selective enforcement. You don't generally enforce this stuff. Why are you calling me on it? So it puts the town at a disadvantage. And one last point I will put out there, I don't know the legality of it, but zoning could become a profit center. You put fines in place and enforce zoning in general. It'll pay for the staff that you need to do the enforcement. It might even end up with some revenue for the town. And at least that way, instead of the good residents paying extra and paying for the extra staffing and the extra support, the people that are violating pay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
That's it, Mayor.
Okay. And I'd like to say something as Pete Bass, resident, 31 Mount Tom Road, New Milford. So first, I'd like to say is the budget is a very complex budget. And I think we need to take a breath for a second. There's a lot of pontification, both here, social media. I think the public really needs to know what the real numbers are. Real. So first is there's explanation that it's a 5%, 9%, 8% growth in expenditures for the town. That is absolutely false. Okay? So, and I ran these numbers to make sure I'm correct with our finance director, Olga. So just for the edification, for those that are here watching, those in the audience, and those sitting on this town council and board of finance. First, we'll start with what is expenditures? Expenditures is the cost to operate the government. So on the town side, and this includes both your debt, right, and your capital. On the town side, and Olga, you can correct me if I'm wrong with this number itself, 3.35%. 3.35%. When you get a chance and you go home, I want you to look at, you can look at the Wall Street Journal, you can Google it and see what's the rate of inflation nationally. What's the rate of inflation in Connecticut? What's the rate of inflation that's happened today in the last 12 months? Take a look. Now, the Board of Education. What it cost expenditure increase. That would be 3.91%. Now, if you blend the two together, the Board of Ed is much larger than the town, but if you blend them all together, that's 3.63% increase. Does everybody and their brother want that? No, but that's reality. So now let's go to the mill rate. The mill rate is something totally different than your expenditures. So, right now, the mill rate as proposed is 4.99%. I agree, it's high. It is high. How did we get there? Well, if you were to look at the mill rate before the state of Connecticut changed the way you tax your motor vehicles, it would be 3.27%. The 1.6% increase is because your motor vehicles are taxed differently. Your motor vehicles are what's put into your grand list, part of your grand list. So they've assessed your vehicles less. In so doing, your revenues, am I correct, Olga, is less. Hence, the 4.99%. If it wasn't for the state making the corrections that they decided to do, it would be 3.27%. It costs the municipality, for those that may have forgotten, right? We used to not have to man the ambulance. We do now. The ambulance is fully paid due to COVID, right? Police department, they went up. Why? Contractual, and they have obligations. Our fire department, our public works department. So the question that we all need to pose to one another, and I'm with you, I'm a resident, I live here. I don't like the increases more than anybody else. I sat on town council with Mr. Fala. I don't like it any more than anybody else. But here's a frank conversation that everyone that's going to vote on this budget must think and adhere to. If you want to reduce the budget, reduce the services. If you want to reduce the services, ambulance will be a little longer getting to you. Everybody expects blacktop an hour after a storm. Don't expect that to happen. Fire department, we all need them. And that's in minutes. Right, Kevin? Takes minutes. Minutes saves lives. And we're going to be talking more and more in depth on the budget and what the drivers are. But I want the public, both watching tonight, the council here, these drivers isn't a 7% increase, a 5% increase. This is all in both the educational side and the town side, 3.63%. Town itself, I can only speak for the town, 3.35. Tomorrow night, the Board of Education will be here tonight, and they will talk about their needs. And then it's going to be up to the town council to make their decisions on what they want to do, and then it goes to the Board of Finance. And the Board of Finance makes their decisions, which they can do categorically. And then it goes to you, the public, to decide. But I think we need to have a very honest conversation. A lot of rhetoric is going around about what the actual costs are. And Monday night, we'll be reviewing the drivers again for our town council, and then when we go to the Board of Finance, the same. Thank you.
Minor correction, 3.69, the blended.
Thank you.
3.69.
I apologize, 3.69. Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
thank you. Okay. Next, we have the Senior Center. Jasmine.
Good evening, everyone. So let me start off.
Light reading for you all.
May I begin? Begin? Oh, yes. Thank you. Sure. Absolutely. All right. Okay. Thank you. All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Honorable Mayor, Town Council, Board of Finance, and the New Milford community. For those of you who I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, my name is Jasmine Marie de Kusinhara, Director of the New Milford Senior Center. and I thank you for the opportunity to present the 2025-2026 budget on behalf of the New Milford Senior Center and the Commission on Aging. With me today, I also have some members of our team, our two municipal agents, Marissa Levine and RJ Yarish, one of our senior center bus operators, Tom Williams, our chore services coordinator, John DeLaura, and the chairman of our Commission on Aging, Gretchen O'Shea Reynolds, and also some of our seniors. So in addition to the PowerPoint, I wanted to pass along to you a printed copy of our February newsletter to give you a snapshot of our town senior center. And for those of you tuning in from home or within this room, these newsletters are also available on the newmilford.org website or at the senior center. So as you may be aware, the senior population is one of the fastest growing in New Milford, and we are honored that we have been able to serve more than half of this population through the services and resources that the New Milford Senior Center offers. This slide begins our expenditures, the bulk of which covers our personnel. Our staff consists of myself, Jeanette, our program coordinator, assistant director, Kim, our office coordinator, 13B clerical personnel, Tom and Aaron, our two senior center bus operators, Sue and Rufus, our per diem substitute bus operators, John, our part-time chore services coordinator, and Marissa and RJ, our municipal agents, which are Connecticut state statute mandated positions to ensure that every town have advocates for the elderly to provide information referrals in state, federal, and local benefits entitlement. Also budgeted in that personnel line is our part-time seasonal office coordinator to assist our municipal agents for the months of September to January, as it is the busiest with our energy assistance, open enrollment, and holiday programming. And also on the slide is a request for capital for furniture replacement due to high volume use in furniture that is a little bit more cleaning friendly, if you will. I would also like to note that though we have a small staff, we are able to provide the caliber of quality service through the help of our many volunteers, ranging from our Commission on Aging, our chore service volunteers to provide services needed to help ensure the safety and security of our seniors to age in place in their homes, and our many program-based volunteers who range from assisting with our congregate meals, our Meals on Wheels drivers, Wheels volunteers to provide rides to non-emergency medical appointments in the greater New Milford area, and all of our volunteer program and activity facilitators that provide enrichment and inspiration. So continuing on with our expenditures is the breakdown of the following accounts. Our contractual account, which encompasses the web services and support needs of our senior center database, which is entitled My Senior Center, allocations toward our health, wellness, and enrichment programming, the local funding contribution from town entities for our Meals on Wheels program, and those are the meals that are delivered up to 4 days a week for to homebound residents, and additionally a service repair and support contract for the AV system that we use daily. We also have our account for our materials and supplies. That's for our educational, social, and recreational programs, as well as general office supplies, equipment, and professional development. We also have a materials and supplies self-sustaining account, which is for our fee-based programs and activities, such as our special interest or exercise classes, and also for miscellaneous repairs and maintenance for our senior center buses under the 13B transportation grant. And last but not least, our congregate lunches. We currently serve lunches Monday through Thursday, which is a fantastic lunch, might I add. And thanks to our friends at CNC Deli, we're actually celebrating our almost 1 year anniversary of having them as our food provider. And it's been a wonderful partnership. So these congregate meals, which under Title III of the Older Americans Act, serve to provide congregate meal services that are typically covered in expenses one-to-one, though we are currently facing reimbursement reductions on the state level, hence the anticipated reduced figure. So simply put, the New Milford Senior Center is a happening place. We are seeing growth in our membership usage and inquiries every day. And believe it or not, in the past calendar year, we welcomed 250 new members to the Senior Center. And here we are, only 2 months into the year, and we've already welcomed 50 new faces. And we contribute that to our evolving community outreach efforts. So we truly pride ourselves in being able to offer a wide array of programs, activities, and services that provide opportunities socially, recreationally, educationally, and to enhance health and wellness. We have continued to pursue the initiative of being a senior center beyond four walls. So examples of this are expanding our programming off-site, such as our Movers and Shakers Club, which ventures through local hiking spots, our day trips and excursions, which we actually have a busloads of folks that are headed to medieval times in New Jersey next month, and even having the opportunity to be welcomed and connect with other area senior centers. Our senior center has a traveling Wii bowling team and also a cornhole team, which actually took second place in the Connecticut Senior Cornhole Tournament over the summer in Bristol. And our Wii bowlers are headed to the Torrington Senior Center next month for a little more friendly competition. We are also offering programs and activities outside of our 8 to 4 business hours, such as our Zumba Gold exercise class, early evening education seminars to be able to be accessible to those who may still be working. And also, we also hold special weekend programming as well. We're also excited to note that we are broadening our Never Stop Learning initiative with weekly talks and special interest seminars that offer a variety of topics such as science, history, nature, health, finance, among others, to provide enrichment and resources. So in sum, our mission is to foster longevity and quality of life by providing programs and services to individuals age 60 and up that encourage independence, lifelong learning, social interaction, community involvement, and physical and emotional well-being. And so looking now to our revenue, we are very fortunate to have grants that help to offset some of our expenditures of the senior center. So primarily our COA revenue allows payroll offset for our bus operators as well as additional for bus repairs and maintenance, all from the Connecticut DOT's 13B transportation grant. And the senior center currently has two regularly operating buses, one spare, and that provides seniors and individuals with disabilities transportation within the New Milford town boundaries by reservation requests and scheduling. In addition, we also have a WCAAA, a Western Connecticut Area Agency on Aging grant that helps to offset our payroll for our part-time chore services coordinator. And the remaining from our revenue is the anticipated contributions from our fee-based programs and activities and senior bus services and the congregate lunch revenue with the elderly nutrition program, which again is typically covered one-to-one from our congregate lunches expenditure line. And so overall, we are very proud to be able to offer our senior community excellence in service between all the resources we provide at the New Milford Senior Center. We are so appreciative of the town of New Milford's support of our senior community and are honored to be able to offer this level of quality. Amazingly, we can say that we welcome at least 120 people through our doors each and every day. And each week we're welcoming more and more new members and getting them connected with all that the Senior Center has to offer. So from all of us at the New Milford Senior Center and the Commission on Aging, we thank you for your time and the opportunity to present our 2025-2026 budget. I can take some questions if there are
Thank you,
any.
Jasmine. So just to begin with,
Sure.
on the revenues, which are page 31.
Yes.
So as you'll see, a reduction in revenues from last year, 2025, 211,700 to 142,884. And then for those that'll notice, when you look at the Commission on Aging revenues, you'll see that the reimbursement from the grant from the bus that we have, which is the 80-20 match, is missing because we're getting the bus.
Yes.
So there's your difference in the revenues there.
So that's the 59,000?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you for
And
that.
then you see on the congregate lunch going from 64,320 to 55,000. And that is what Jasmine was saying. Unfortunately, the state has cut the reimbursement rate for this elderly nutrition program. I know we've been very vocal, as well as some of other communities,
That's 9,000, okay.
in asking for that money to come back, because that is a part of a grant funding that we would get. So that's where you see the differentials in the revenues. Does anybody have any questions on revenues? Katie?
Oh, not in revenues, no. I
Any
love the
personnel
revenues,
revenue?
Jasmine.
Joe?
The
And then I'm
80-20
sorry, Mary Jane.
I'm sorry. Good, Mary Jane, you go
Oh,
first.
that's okay. All right, why? Why has the state cut?
So our program, our lunch program is, there's different tiers from this, from the state level. WCAAA has a contract with one of the organizations that helps to distribute these funding for congregate meals as well as home delivered meals, the Meals on Wheels program. They are the ones that essentially tell us what our reimbursement rates are going to be, and since they are anticipating a larger amount of Meals on Wheels revenue, because they sort of come out of the same pot, that they are cutting back on the congregate level for these meals. So this isn't just our senior center, this isn't just New Milford, this is statewide, that they are putting more, they're anticipating that they're going to be using more funding from the Meals on Wheels side, hence cutting back on what is going to be distributed from the congregate meal side. I hope that
It's a little
And-
confusing.
it is.
And Mary Jane, one of the things that we've advocated for to give us the continued revenue is for some of the seniors, this is the only time that they get a chance to
Yeah.
speak with one another, congregate together. Some of
Socializing.
it's their only hot meal.
Exactly. As Mayor Pete said, for a lot of there is a good chunk of our folks where this meal, their lunch meal, Monday through Thursday, is their meal, their core meal of source of nutrition for this time period. And, you know, we have a suggested donation that folks can help to contribute to help offset for when these, you know, for unfortunately when this happens. But we're rolling with it right for now. But that's where we are at, is that between the two entities for this food piece, it's the congregate and it's the home delivered meals, they are putting more funding towards the home delivered meals with the anticipation that that is going to be what's going to use up the expenses. And so therefore they've cut every single senior center that is part of this program.
Yeah, well, I guess part of the federal government cuts is gonna be to Meals on Wheels, correct?
Yeah, so this can all be,
You know, so, and my big concern, which I think is just outrageous, is the cuts to Medicaid, which is gonna put seniors in a more precarious position as far as their health and nutrition goes.
absolutely.
So I would imagine you may start seeing even a lot more people with a lot more demands.
Absolutely. So we do have, on our team, we have 2 municipal agents that really help to navigate towards the business side of aging, if you will. So that aspect, we're trying to be kept very up to date and privy to what's going on, and be able to help where we are able. So, but we are anticipating that we're not done here,
Yeah.
basically.
Joe? And Katie, did you?
Thank you.
have anything?
After.
You said there's a place where people can make a charitable donation?
Yes.
Where is that?
So that is our New Milford Senior Center Enrichment Fund. If you open up our newsletter there in the page 3,
Yeah.
we have an enrichment fund that helps to support services and scholarship on page 3. So actually, one page back.
I
One
see.
page back, right in the middle.
The covers page one?
Yes.
I see.
Right in the middle there, right above where it says for your information, there's a piece for our senior enrichment fund. Kind of
Town
above
of
that.
New Milford? So it's administered by the town of New Milford?
Yes.
So if people wanted to make a monetary donation,
Yes.
where do they do that?
To the senior center.
They come to the senior
They
center?
can come to the senior center, they can mail in,
mail
however
order.
it works. We are not digital yet, so everything is cash or check at the
Okay.
moment.
Is this information on the website, Mayor?
Yes,
And so if anyone had any interest in this, they could find it on the website?
Absolutely.
Can they make the donations through the website?
not yet.
I don't
No,
think
they
so.
don't have-
Not yet.
They don't have electronic,
Olga, they can't make that
Venmo.
type of donation yet, right?
Not yet,
Not
not
yet.
yet with this one.
think so.
I will say this is a brand new fund. This actually just was
Great.
established in April of last year, so it is pretty,
Excellent.
pretty new.
All right, we should probably look into that, maybe.
Thank you.
That would be great. And then, in terms of the bus, we're actually purchasing a bus, or we've purchased a
So,
bus?
Purchasing, we're waiting for it to come in.
Okay, so payment's already been made, that
Well,
58?
once you get it, then you pay it, but it's there for payment.
yes.
Okay, it's
So we
ready for
actually-
payment. So what was the $58,000 before?
That was our match of the 80-20 grant.
That was our match of the 80, so it was in last year's budget to make the
Yes.
payment as revenues?
Correct.
No, that was the state's portion.
Yep.
right.
58,
Oh, this is the
that would be
state's
the
portion.
grant portion. Yep.
Okay,
But
so
that's,
that's
it's
why that's-
already
Yep.
happened.
Excellent.
We're not applying for this grant in fiscal 26, hence. that's
Correct,
why you
which
saw
is
it
a
out of
revenue.
budget.
All right, now, I'm sorry, I forgot what the other page was that you were on. It was 30 and 156, right? I had my notes split up. I got distracted because it's important that people can make a donation.
Thank you.
What was the question? Oh, so there's a transfer in for this fiscal year from 466 to 469 with the revised budget. Was that, what was that increased that budget?
Oh, you're looking, I'm sorry, adopted
Personnel? The
Yes.
adopted budget was
with the
466?
revised? Yes,
Revised.
you will see that column, the revised budget column, you will see that being adjusted for most departments because as part of our operations, the non-union raises are being discussed and basically implemented once the fiscal year starts. So that's budgeted in other wages. So that's just an automatic transfer from other wages among individual departments. So if there are non-union employees within the department, you will see a difference between adopted budget and the revised budget. No change to the bottom line, it's just the allocation of appropriation.
I got you. Excellent. Thank you.
And those were 2.5%. Were those raises?
And we are an aging community with, you know, I mean, even our school district is shrinking year after year after year. And you're saying that there's a growth in usage, and 120 people per day.
Yes.
So what does that change? Was it like 100 last year and 120 this year? People really struggling, or?
So at one point we were saying that there were 75 to 100 people that walk into our building every single day. We are looking at an average of 120. I can tell you that there are days, like a Monday, for example, we will get 160 people that wander in through our doors to do, you know, all of our activities. So even if you flip through our newsletter, you know, we are seeing now that every single room has something going on in it. It is incredible. And one of, a little bit anecdotal, one of the things that we have to do now, which is very interesting, is walk through at the end of the day and remind everyone that, hey, we close at 4. It's time to go or get ready to go.
Right.
So we are seeing a lot more people utilizing the senior center as almost like a safe haven.
Right.
And as in addition to being a resource, you know, I can only imagine as you're driving around town, you will see our buses going from corner to corner all over New Milford. We are very, very busy, and it's a very active senior center. Please come visit us. We're right on the green.
And Jasmine, if I could interject as well. So we have a bi-weekly huddle every 2 weeks. And the benchmark that we agreed to starting in January was a 25% growth trajectory. So that could be anywhere from the new programs that the senior center is running. So if you get a chance, take a look on the webpage, take a look on their books of all these new programs that they have going on that help our seniors. On top of that, great work by our municipal agents as we give more services to that section of the population. So we continue to strive for that 20% growth rate, and we're hitting that right now. But now the trajectory is to stay on that year to year.
That's great. One last question. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
So of this increase of population that you're seeing coming into the senior center, is this for like usage of fund services and socialization, or are these people who are running into hard times?
So we have, truly there's a combination of both. So one of the things of one of the pieces of our senior center is also to not only to provide mental wellness and uplift, but for a lot of these folks too, they may be lonely. This is their outlet. This is also an opportunity for us to kind of look out for one another, because we see the folks that, you know, we start to learn their routine. So we've worked in great partnership, for example, with our police department. If we haven't seen somebody or haven't heard from someone and that's a little out of character, we're taking care of these folks far much more than within our 4 walls. So it really has become, it's such a vital service. And you can imagine with our senior population that, you know, everyone's just trying to look out for one another. And it's really become a community that's so much more than just, you know, having a St. Patrick's Day party.
Right, excellent.
Yeah. Katie?
Thanks, Jasmine, and I know Jeanette's not here, right?
No, she's out sick today, unfortunately.
And thanks very much to Jeanette for her great programmatic skills.
Oh, yes.
Couple simple things.
Sure.
I see that you have listed a $25,000 fee-based programs and activities, and then under material and supplies, you have social, recreational, educational, health, wellness programs. So what's different about the $8,000 in those programs and the $25,000 over here?
So our fee-based programming, that's the programs that are, for example, our exercise classes.
You pay for them.
Yep, you pay for those classes. Right. The other programs, those are the ones that, because as you all are well aware, not everyone's financial situation is the same, and we do want to be able to offer programming that is accessible to everybody. So those are the programming, for example, that we try to have as our educational piece or uplift piece.
The $25,000 one?
No.
You're talking about the $8,000
yes.
one.
Yes.
Okay, so what's in the $25,000?
So that's all of our.
I mean, I look at your magazine,
Yeah.
which I wish you would not send me in the mail and print it on that paper, because it's online and it's.
We can take you off the mailing list. We're having options of both.
Yes, I know, and I asked for that. I just think it's a lot of expenditure. But so I understand that that's partly the fee-based part, but
Yes.
that's a lot. I mean, I know you do Wii bowling, and I know you have the cornhole, and there's a lot of other card games and things.
Sure.
what gets it up to 25,000?
So those are our exercise classes primarily. That's the bulk of the ones that are fee-based. So that's paying
Chair
for
yoga, that
yep,
kind of
chair
thing?
yoga, our strength and balance classes. We have 2 exercise dance
Right,
classes.
and they're good.
Yeah.
They're good. They're worthwhile. Okay, so that's it. I just wondered there wasn't a list, and frankly, I like to see lists of things. The other question that I had to do with the lunch, but you really already addressed that, I think. And otherwise, that's good. I do want to say that I have some concern about the chore coordinator, not the person necessarily, but the position. As you know, I had several calls come to me through United Way about issues that obviously are not handled by United Way, and I often recommend that they get a hold of the chore person. And if I will not repeat everything that I get when I say that, but it's not a satisfactory response. And then I myself spoke to somebody and was told that it was a very hard job and people had to be vetted and we can't just do this and that. The first thing was that person has to come in here and sign up.
Yes.
And I have to tell you, Jasmine, I've been through a lot more telephone calls than most people. And you don't say that back to somebody, even if that is the end thing you want to get across. Someone needs to sign up, not to say, that person has to come in here. These are elderly people.
Sure.
You know, for all I know, they don't even know how, they can't even walk, for all I know, which is why they're calling about a leak in the ceiling or something. So I'm just going to say this and out loud because it's been said to me so many times. Please take some of your huddle time and huddle with that particular component because it's a very important, as you know.
Absolutely.
We have a lot of volunteers. If you need more volunteers, come to me, come to anybody and ask. I know you lost an important one, but it is an important part of what goes on, and there's $26,000 in there, and if people are upset, let's find out why and how to fix it.
No, absolutely, Katie.
Yeah.
And I know that no one likes to do paperwork, and I will let you know that form that we ask folks to fill out, so that is with our chore program, and also that is how we get our reimbursements for all of our lunch program.
I understand.
So that, but we do try to work with folks. If they aren't able to come in, we will mail things out to them. And I know it's a little bit of a tedious process to get to
Right.
that end result, but
a person
we'll
doesn't
work on
have to
it.
be participating in the senior center activities in order to get someone from chore.
No, they do not, but they do have to have that form filled out.
I
prior.
understand. Did they have to come in person?
They do not.
Okay,
So that's the way.
that was
Sure.
my main point.
Okay.
Just work a little bit on that.
Absolutely.
I think would be good.
So
and your telephone system and the fact that reaching a municipal agent, you have to go through your phone and your voicemail. I think IT is going to address that.
Yep.
Yeah, because when people want them, they're upset, and I think they should be able to get there in an efficient way. So, but I thank you very much for what you do. I'm so glad that you've upped the numbers and that, as seniors get larger, you help out.
Thank you.
Alex?
Thank you. Hi, Jasmine.
Hi.
Good work, obviously. So if I'm hearing this correctly,
Yes.
we anticipate a greater need, and your goal is to increase services. And we have a reduction in monies coming from the state for lunches. Will there be people who won't be able to get lunches?
So that is where we have this enrichment fund and other fundraising sources to help out offset those figures, or to offset the folks that may not be able to afford or contribute. So we do know that there's financial need from some of our folks. The whole structure of this program is to be able to have a program for lunches available for folks, regardless of their financial standing.
Right. I'm just concerned that
Yeah.
if you're anticipating an increase in need and less money's coming from the state, I'm worried about meeting everyone's needs. And, that's how people get their hot meal for the day.
Absolutely.
That's huge.
So we fundraise and we try to have that as a piece of it. CNC has been very fortunate. Wish Rolando was here. So CNC has been very helpful with us with trying to work with us in what we're able to afford and have, so that we are not going to be without. We're a unique senior center in that we are even offering lunch 4 days a week. And so to run at that level, the things that we do not want is to have to cut back or reduce our lunch days or something like that. But we do want to be able to have some things available to our folks.
Right.
Still.
So I'm thinking I might find places to find money in other departments to put more money in here because it worries me so. I'm just putting it out there.
Yep, I think the best thing we can do to keep the actual longevity of this program is to advocate to the governor and
Sure.
to the state legislator, the majority leader especially, about the needs. And I know we've
Absolutely.
done that already, but I think that for longevity of this program is
Absolutely.
is the best use.
But more immediate for this coming year, it is a concern.
Yep. And as Joe said, fundraising, we've got a
Yes.
great community that helps with that.
And
It
they
helps
can
with
go to
those
the town
meetings.
website to find the information
Right.
or walk into town hall.
If
or
you
the
go
Richmond
right
Senior
into
Center.
the senior center, which is nice because then you get to say hi to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
There's a box when it's lunchtime, right? That people can put their donation in right
You
there.
could bring it, or you bring it to the office and whatever works. Come visit,
Yep.
come say hi, Joe. We'd love to have you visit.
Thank you.
Any other? Diane?
Talking about the chore
Yes.
program. So I'm a member of the garden club.
Okay.
And we've often talked about, the need for seniors to have some help with weeding or planting
wonderful.
or care and, that sort of, or even just discussions about what would be nice in this spot, or does it need more sun or not? But we don't want to step on your feet.
No, Diane, but
So-
well, let's partner up then.
Yes, so I was going to say, we do have a lot of elderly members of the club that are somehow, they're usually not able to do a lot of hard work.
Sure.
But there are others that are very willing to do it. So yes, let's discuss.
I welcome the conversation.
Great, super,
Thank you very
you.
much for thinking of us in
Absolutely.
that respect.
Anybody else for Jasmine? Walter?
Are you gonna have Green Bear March 17th?
Maybe.
Maybe. All right. Oh, green beer. No, I don't have green beer. I'm sorry.
I will let you know that we
All
do
right.
have celebrations.
Just checking.
Mr. Bear, we do have celebrations in line for March 17. So keep an eye out in our March newsletter or come
All
and
right,
stop
fair
in and
enough.
we'll get you all set up. How's that? That's February, so
Oh,
next month.
well, new one is coming out.
Yes.
All right.
So keep an eye out, but we do have things planned for it. So green beer May with
All
the
right.
approval. Be one of them.
Thank you, Jasmine.
Thank you very much.
Seconds. I just want to congratulate Jasmine. She, I think we're very fortunate as a community to have her as a director, and the seniors at the senior center are very happy to have her at front. Mary Jane was saying before, the senior center in New Milford suffers the most in the state.
Yes.
Because of the cuts. So, like for example, surrounding towns like Brookfield, they don't feel it because they don't have that volume. The senior center in New Milford is the most volume in the state of Connecticut.
Oh, yes.
So, like what Joe was saying, that was a great point. Like, we can urge the community to help out and make donation because
Which they can do.
the senior
through the
center
website,
is
through town hall or through the senior center.
yes.
Yes.
The senior center is doing a great job. So, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Jasmine?
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
I appreciate
Jasmine.
your time.
Thank you. Thank you to the team. Thank you. Next is to our land use, Jim and Laura. Start at page after their presentation. Page 16 is the revenues.
Hi,
Good night.
RJ.
Good evening, I'm Laura Regan, Zoning Enforcement Officer, Land Use Supervisor, Town Planner. Those are my top three positions. And also with me tonight is James Furlow, the Wetlands Enforcement Officer. So I'm just gonna get us started off and then we'll turn it over to Jim to talk revenue. But first, what does the land use budget consist of? So this is actually the combined budgets we combined a few years ago of the 5 different land use boards and commissions: Aquifer Protection Agency, the Inland Wetlands Commission, the Planning Commission, the Zoning Board of Appeals, and the Zoning Commission. So that's not only the commissions, but also the daily operations of the departments that go along with those commissions. And then below that, you'll see I've just highlighted the difference of our overall expenditures. We have a minor increase of just under $5,000. But then you can see we have a $15,000 increase in revenue. So we're actually coming in at an overall reduction in our budget. Is it this one? Is it this? Oh, there we go. Got it. So this is our expenditures. For the expenditures for all of the budget or all of the departments, it's 6 line items basically total. So our big ticket item is obviously personnel. It consists of myself, Jim Furlow, the Assistant Land Use Enforcement Officer, the Land Use Administrator, our new part-time Land Use Compliance Officer, and 5 recording secretaries for the night meetings. With the addition of our part-time Land Use Compliance Officer, we now almost have 1 person per department commission. We then have $1,000 for our nutmeg overtime, our $25,000 for consultants. This is used if we have to hire a consultant to help us prepare a map, update, write a regulation, special type of projects that we have. The next one is our contractual self-sustaining. This is funds used to hire engineering consultants to peer review more complex applications for the land use commissions. These expenses are all reimbursed. Next is legal notices. So per state statute, all public hearings and decisions of the land use commissions must be published in a newspaper with substantial circulation. I just attended a online training session of all the new bills being raised in the legislature this year, and this is being raised. They're basically saying during COVID it worked with all of the online publications, so there is a push to see if that can happen. The text of that bill is not out yet, but the issue has been raised. And then lastly, materials and supplies at $5,000. This is just your daily office and map copier supplies, professional publications, required trainings, and our Casio membership fees. And then we get into revenue. Turn that over to Jim.
Good evening, everyone. James Furlow, Wetlands Enforcement Officer of the town. All right, let's get into land use revenue. Our revenue, as Laura indicated, is going up. $10,000 of that is associated with our self-sustaining accounts. Our self-sustaining accounts are those things that where we ship it out for peer review, different projects for peer review, and we get reimbursed for those requirements. We went up $10,000 in that, so that's 10,000 of that $37,000. And then our zoning application fees, we feel we can carry at least $75,000 up from $70,000 of last year. We feel that these are definitely reasonable and obtainable numbers that come before the commission. Going forward with that, our primary increase is attributed to the land use self-sustaining account, which is what I just went over with the revenue. That's also offsetting to the $40,000 that is associated in the expenditure side. Personnel is actually slightly reduced because we were able to combine our new part-time land use compliance officer with a position at the Public Works. The gentleman came very qualified in both fields, so it's a combination position. It's working well for us right now. We've only been out a couple of months, so we are starting to tackle some enforcement. However, slowly, we have to pick and choose what we go after, and then there's all the follow-up. You have to write the letters, you take the follow-up, et cetera. So that all comes into that type of position. We do not offer programs or events or anything else like that. We do not have large-scale equipment or anything else like that on that. That leaves personnel being really our only resource and expenditures for what we do. Also, with so many resources available to us now with online training, then we are able to keep the others like materials and supplies and other things like that fit relatively flat and level. We used to have to actually send all of our commission members out for training. There is a new bill out this year. Last year they went after zoning to have all zoning people qualified and taking courses. This year the bill in front of them is to have all wetlands commission members. Right now the law states that the staff and 1 member of the commission must be qualified and taking all the courses. The nice thing about wetlands and water courses, however, is I don't think this is going to have too much of an impact with us, is because we have many years of our programs being online, so we can send our people the link to these courses. They can take them at home. We actually don't have to pay for them. So that's definitely a benefit, that I don't have to send 10 members out at a $200 or $300 course that gets very expensive very quickly. So let's hope they keep it to doing the online course stuff, and we do not have to get involved with suddenly having to send 10 members of the Wetlands Commission, 7 members of the Zoning Commission, 5 members of the ZBA out to all these specialty training courses as pursuant to state statute. And finally, we have our usual matrix here of what we've done in the past for the last couple of years, where we stand in terms of our fees collected at this juncture, et cetera. So we are on track to meet that 122,000 revenue this year. Wetlands is up. We've had some more complicated projects that have come before us. So it all depends on what style of projects that are coming into us as to how much revenue we gain. So we've already exceeded what were anticipated. $13,000 was in that, and we still have our very busy 4 months to go, 4 to 5 months to go yet. So I don't know if anyone has any specific questions or comments. We'd be happy to answer.
Any questions for Diane?
So the gentleman who spoke earlier, who praised the zoning board for its great work, he did mention that enforcement, he felt that it was lacking. He wasn't specific, so I'm wondering, you have the new compliance officer. Is that position how new is it?
He started in September, somewhere.
Oh, so just a couple of months.
Less than 6 months.
Okay, fine. So this person, I'm assuming it's a man, it could be a woman. This person could be perhaps looking into better enforcement for zoning regulations.
Right, he's already on top of that.
That's
going
great.
Forward. But understand enforcement takes time.
I understand.
There's a whole sequence of events that has to occur with enforcement. Our enforcement is not immediate. We have to send a letter, and then we have to follow up. We'll give them a time frame to correct whatever the problem is. Then we have to do a follow-up letter if we get no response to that. And then there's another follow-up letter. So then you end up with a notice of violation, and you end up with a cease and desist order. So it takes at least 3 to 4 months just to deal with one specific issue. Now, the nice thing is he's getting a lot of response back, so people are calling into it to try and qualify or solve these problems or come in for their permits. So it is helping, but it's going to be a very long process. We have a whole litany of complaints that come through, and we need to ferret those out, and we need to make them go forward and get them into compliance. That's the ultimate goal of our agencies, is compliance with the regulations.
Thank you. So kind of a follow-up. So I hear from people pretty often about blight. And everyone's opinion on blight is very, very different, what constitutes blight. Zoning, I'm assuming, is...
We actually have a separate blight commission.
You have a separate
that is
blight.
Not part of the boards or commissions in front of us today.
Oh. Okay.
So I'm on the blight prevention
you are.
board. I'm a member, but it's a separate entity. And we have there's going to be a public hearing, I think, in front of the town council coming soon to modify or update the blight ordinance.
Oh, I thought that happened a month ago or so.
Next meeting.
Oh, okay, fine. So it has not been decided yet, but it's been discussed. Super, thank you. Thanks.
And that you'll hopefully see that also has been revised to help streamline the process, because enforcement is very cumbersome. Thank you.
Any other questions for Jim? Alex and then Katie?
Hi, good to see you. I see a reduction in the salary line for the part-time land use compliance officer.
Yes, we were actually, when we were here last year, we were looking at a approximate cost to the town of Milford of $40,000. When it came before us, we were able to combine this position to make it a full-time position with the town New Milford Public Works Department, which then made this a $31,000, $32,000 position for each side. So that reduction is reflected in this in this budget.
My concern is that when we are in the need of more enforcement and compliance issues are frequent, that we're not putting at least that amount in or more, because we're not taking care of business necessarily, because we've been kind of tight on the purse strings. I also really feel that our town planner should be a town planner and not responsible for all the other jobs as well. This town doesn't have a plan. Sorry, just doesn't. And I think that if we had a plan for our community, we would be not seeing some of the things that a lot of people are complaining about. So I'd be curious to know if you were to consider a designated town planner and redirect duties, or open it up. I don't know if she wants that job, but.
Yeah, the creation of that job would be up to this.
Exactly right.
Well,
I just wonder what the dollars would.
Reinstatement of that job. All
Right,
Because
that is
the
true,
planning
that is
commission
true.
Started to not have a lot of subdivisions, et cetera. If you take a look at the planning commission.
We had 2 this year
we
so
had 2
far.
So if that starts to blossom back to where it was, then you will have to look at getting in the proper personnel in the proper locations to be able to handle that increase in workload.
Might we be able to see what that would cost us if we wanted to try to do that? Maybe get the numbers before we deliberate? I'm
Well,
curious.
right now, we are looking at headwinds of a budget where
I
you're
understand,
there.
I understand, but I have
and-
other places where I think there might be
And
saved.
to answer your question, right, we could give you the number. It would probably be north of just the one person, north of 140,000, just there, plus the benefits in that particular position. And I think, as Laura said as well, is if the growth trajectory continues and we can justify that, then that would be something we would bring to the committee.
My concern is that things are happening and we don't have a plan now. That's all. That we don't have to belabor this now, but
Yeah, and I agree, but to answer your question, we are following the Plan of Conservation and Development as was approved by the town council. Some of us sat on that committee. I did not sit on the committee, but I voted for the Plan of Conservation and Development. So we continue to follow that. Am I correct, Laura?
Yes.
And how we do that and how those things. Now, if you're talking about development and growth, that would also have to deal with zoning itself and what different types of zones and districts are available to the town. So if we were looking at reducing growth, if that's what we were looking at, that's something that you would want to entertain to go through the zoning commission, of which Laura is the head of that as the ZEO in the commission.
All right, 140,000, okay. I have the number. Thank you.
Yep.
Plus pennies.
Katie, and then Joe, did you have a question?
Katie can go first.
I haven't
Okay.
got a question, I just have a comment that I understand that you put up there that you don't have a lot of machinery and all that you have personnel. And we're very happy that you both are still those personnel people. And as much as it has been tough, I think you've hung in there very well. So I thank you for that.
Mary Jane?
Just to Alex's point about a town planner, it's not just about developmental, development, building and stuff, but it's the major projects that we have coming before us that maybe we need more expertise. So, I mean, I think it is something we should be doing.
And
Oh, sorry. Give me
The mic won't get to them.
Oh, it doesn't reach you. No. So I'm just, to Alex's point about a town planner, it's not just about, housing development. It's about major projects that we have coming before us in the town. And that's where I think we need more expertise. So I think it is something that at some point, I think we're going to have to start looking into.
And Mary Jane, I actually agree with you as we're getting into more complex development, whether you look at East Street School, if that happens to come to fruition, riverfront revitalization. And to there, what you do is you bring on that manpower on a case-by-case basis. There are firms that are used that are very, very well. A lot of the bigger cities use those as well and use that expertise. Yeah. I think that's something we can explore for sure. Absolutely. Joe and then Walter.
Hi. How are you guys doing?
Doing well, thank you.
That's all right. Excellent. So my head's kind of spinning because I actually think that our planning department, zoning, planning, wetlands, and building department is probably one of the most efficient and easiest to work with building departments like that I have experience with. You know, you guys are always relatively available. You all follow up very quickly. You know, the online portal has its quirks, right? But you know, but a lot of people use the open.gov stuff, so that's, you know, it is what it is. It's not a that portion is not a unique problem to New Milford. But we do have a planner and we do have a POCD, right?
Absolutely.
And that's available on the website, I think.
Sure
too?
is.
Yes.
Right. So we can all go on there and take a look.
Yes, sir.
Any day.
And to your point, Mayor, I mean, I do some mixed-use multifamily builds as a project manager, and most of the municipalities that I have to interface with actually use outside consultants because the systems used in those buildings are relatively advanced, and it's not something that you would necessarily, you know, I mean, your building official can go and do the inspections and stuff, but you want to make sure that everything is code compliant, right? You have your duct smoke detection systems and your fire stopping and so on and so forth so that the building stays safe. The POCD would really more be like a use sort of thing, right?
Gives you the guideline of like where the public
Yeah.
would like to see different types of development, recreational uses. So it gives you kind of a little bit of a guide map if someone was looking to invest in the town.
Right, and my experience with the planners is a lot of the times they're just making sure that you're following the plan as it was proposed more than,
Exactly.
and maybe they'll make some suggestions. Hey, you know, we don't like the equipment. Can you put a screen? Can you change the color of your bike racks because you're using fluorescent orange and it doesn't vibe with the new Milford green or whatever, you know?
Sure.
So, you know, so anyway, that was my statements there. So thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Walter?
This is probably out of order, and Mr. Marie could make that decision. How, why, what, the skyscraper on 202 sitting by the police station? What's going on with that?
We already heard.
So-
We already heard.
Out of order? Okay.
So I do have some, I know this isn't, if it's okay with the committee for just a moment, because the question was asked, doesn't pertain to the budget, but you will begin to see work on the project starting next week. That's what I was told.
Yeah.
Yep.
The guy that was here talking to us.
Are you guys aquifer protection too?
Yes.
I have questions about that, but I'll have to call you.
It was during the building.
Yeah, building inspector.
Right, that's why he,
Right.
yeah.
So
Walter
it's
wasn't here.
going to be moving forward?
Yes.
That's unfortunate. Disgusting.
That's what I was,
Disgusting
that's what I was told.
development.
I thought the building was nice.
Yep.
Starting in the next week or two.
Right.
I drive by all the time.
Yes, we
Yes,
did.
we did.
Yeah, it's a nice
Walter,
building.
we're
Okay.
It's residential.
All right. Anything else for Jim and Laura?
Anything
Going
more
once,
For zoning,
going twice.
planning?
Thank you, everybody. Jim?
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
And now Jim's got the emergency planning.
Just give me one
Jim?
moment, please. This is LEPC, correct?
22.
Slideshow. Good evening once again. I am changing hats here and going to more of my emergency management. James Furlow. I'm also the emergency management director for the town. The local emergency planning commission is something that I have been put in charge of as part of the emergency management section of that. In 1987, pursuant to state statute, the LEPC was brought in. Most of these things, we're there to develop and implement emergency action plans and modification procedures, and the notification procedures associated with that. We need to inventory emergency management equipment, facilities, and persons responsible for the same. We need to develop and implement evacuation plans and traffic flow plans. You've seen some of those in action with when we have Route 7 flooded, the different stages of the flooding with the different action plans. So those have all been incorporated. They do sometimes schedule trainings for multi-interaction disciplinary groups. So the police department and the fire department, the ambulance corps, the CERT team, and things like that might get involved with, let's say, a potential emergency at the radiation facility at the New Milford Hospital, et cetera, how to deal with those specifics. So we talk about those type of things. And then we integrate the local emergency management plan with the state plans that are out there. In addition to LEPC, oversees the community CERT team They do some funding for CERT as well as some funding for the Northville Amateur Radio Association. That is a totally separate van. It's an older van, but it's a mobile radio station that has all the police bands, all the fire department bands, all the public works bands, all in that. In case we go down, and we had a case which we actually had to activate them. Thank God we didn't need to use them because they were able to correct the dispatch problem. I guess it was a battery switchover problem or something simple like that. However, when dispatch goes down, immediately we were able to bring in that van, hook it up, put it in the parking lot at the hospital, and they would be able to dispatch from that and hit all 5 of the towers. So it's an important, although we don't use it very often, you don't hear about it very often, it's also a very important part of an option that we have in the town of New Milford. We have not been meeting regularly since COVID. There's no real need to meet all the time. There are no new directives out there or anything else like that. A lot of the new directives have been switched over to emergency management, which is run out of Region 5 with John Field at that location, kicked down to myself and Kevin, who is the assistant or the deputy for emergency management as well. We redid our local emergency operations plan last year as part of the emergency management. Usually it's LEPC, but they wanted specifically to add the COVID stuff in it, so we were very guideline towards that. We received a $5,000 grant for that, which was then paid for that type of work. Our requested budget is $4,000. It has not changed in many years, at least since I've been here. If you look back at, if you look at the things, you notice we do not use a lot of it. And I would say, thank God, we don't have to use a lot of it. Because when we're using a lot of money, we're having a lot of problems in this town. So between our fire departments, our ambulance corps, a local hospital administration, you've got the fire marshal's office, our emergency management group, we are actually in fairly good shape when it comes to being able to run an activation. And so we are very thankful that this year we have not had to expend a lot of money for emergency management to help people. Are there any questions at this juncture?
Here.
And
I have a ridiculous question, if you'll forgive me. So the amateur radio van, they sound pretty legit and skilled. Why is it called amateur?
Oh, because they don't do it for a living.
That's correct.
Oh, so
Well,
it's volunteer rather than
it is
amateur.
Strictly volunteer.
Uh-huh.
It's a great group of people. They want to fly under the radar. It's a bunch of people that want to use a lot of different radios. They do short band, long band, but they're also involved in using our 800 frequencies, etc.
That's why I said they sound very skilled.
They are. And those are the type of people that you want to call upon and have them sit in the parking lot for hours and have you covered. So the fire department's covered in terms of where it goes. The ambulance gets dispatched where it needs to be. The police department get dispatched. Nice thing about that van, if we have to, we can pull the dispatchers out of the police station, put them right in that van, then they have all 4 of their console setups. And now, they will not have, if dispatch goes down, we'll be able to dispatch, we'll be able to talk to one another, but they're not going to be able to use the CAD system or anything else like that. It's not set up to completely run the CAD system. The total CAD system that they have there and the dispatch system, obviously you can't have that as a floating thing for public health and safety purposes. There's a lot of information in that is not allowed to be out to the general public, and the Amateur Radio Association people do not necessarily meet those qualifications for the type of material that's in those CAD systems.
Okay.
So,
thank you. I
Hope that
think they
helps.
should change the name.
Do you have amateur radio?
No, I,
Bengal Navy?
Do I know?
Okay,
that's why they prefer to call NARA, is what they prefer to be called.
They prefer to be called amateur?
NARA.
NARA.
that's
NARA.
the name of it.
Nara?
Yep.
I have several shortwave radios. If you would like to see how they work sometime, stop by.
okay. Any other questions for Jim on local emergency planning?
No,
Pete,
thank you,
are you
Jim.
a member of NARA?
Nick?
No, my father was just nutty about them. and I
Next
used to use
is
them, and-
emergency management budget.
And that's Jim again, isn't
Yep.
it?
That is correct.
There you go.
You gotta change your hats, Jim.
By now, you guys should be used to this. I've been doing this for a bunch of years. Emergency management. Our emergency management budget is the stipends for the emergency management director. The deputy emergency management director, like I said before, is Kevin Reynolds. He is here with us this evening as well. Our general equipment and supplies for emergencies, and then our communication, our radios, our cell phones, our hotspots that we need for emergency response. So those are all covered underneath this budget. Our budget is $19,000 for all of that. There's been no increase in the budget requested over the last 5 years. We do have the ability to get revenue on this. I've been working with Victoria, who is the
Grant
writer. She and I have been working on for the last 6 years trying to get as much money as we can back out of this group. So that's one of the things that we're doing. The other one that we're working on right now is we're looking at establishing a formal emergency operations center. We're looking at potentially hooking up with the proposed plans with the Public Works relocation facility and putting in an independent building at that. But in the meantime, well, that's going to be a while, obviously. We have been working with both the senior center. I know we've been working with a couple of different things in our tech crew. We're looking at utilizing the senior center lab. And right now, they have a lot of different computers in there, but we would bring in our own computers because there's sensitive information on that. So we would have a computer bank for our people. But what we would like to do is get a smart board as well as several different monitors on that wall so we can get everybody together. If we have a major emergency, we need to get logistics, we need to get finance, we need to get all the different emergency partnerships in there. We need to get Eversource in there, Aquarian in there.
It's crowded,
to find out what
very crowded, I know that.
It gets very crowded, but at least you end up with a larger, you now have everybody with a station. And the nice thing about putting this wall together would be the fact that you can be working on one and let's say have the weather on another. We also have a road closed spreadsheet that is updated by anybody in the field. So if the fire department comes across a down tree or a down road or closed road or something like that, they're in the field, they can actually type in what it is and the exact location of that. So they could say at 245 Pumpkin Hill Road. What that does is then, okay, if it's closed at 245, you can take short trail to this road to get around it. It's how we reroute things. That is something that the dispatch put together about 2 years ago, I think it was. And it's working out very well for the emergencies that we've had so far.
Right.
So these are the type of things that are helpful. And so we did get a $25,000 grant for that. And we're in the process of ordering those things and we'll have the Public Works Department facilities work on installing that at that location. The benefit with that as well for the senior center is then they have a smart board on the wall. So if they do their presentations or something like that, it makes them easier to do a presentation than wheeling out the cart and things like that. It brings them a little bit more to better IT as well. So I think it's a double benefit, which is why we're going with that. But not only that, if you take a look at its location, it's near the hospital. It's relatively close to the police department. It's relatively close to the main fire department in town. It's close to town hall. When you start talking about logistics and things like that, you get out more than 2 days. It's people like somebody from finance has to be involved in this and things like that, because this all becomes a large-scale operation. We follow the incident command system.
Any questions for Jim? Walter? And then Joe.
What happens when you retire? You got a training?
Retire? Who's retiring?
Whoa! God bless. Thank you.
He's going to become an amateur ham radio.
Probably. Again, there's a lot of people out there with the right training, with the right attitude that can do emergency management. It is about a team effort. That's what it comes down to. It is about a team effort.
Yeah.
You know, it's great that I can step in for the first 8, 12, 14 hours. After that, I'd better have somebody behind me while I go take a break.
Yeah.
That's the type of thing. It's a matter of delegating the authority to the people that need it and making sure that those groups, your CERT team, NARA, that the fire departments, that the ambulance corps, all these different people are ready for a prolonged event. And then have them be properly trained to be able to help you in totally different scenarios and situations like that. I don't think our CERT team would ever thought they would be knocking door to door during that flat wind in the south end of town, but we had our police already out, our fire already out, and we needed to know whether or not these people in this remote section of town were good or not. 24 hours into this incident, nobody could even drive down their road. So these are the type of things you have to have in place. And with the right set of teams, with the right training, that's what we're here to do.
How fortunate we are then. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Joe?
You know, I gotta say, Jim, like, I would never want to have to see an emergency, but if we do have an emergency, I want a video camera on you the entire time, because I bet it's amazing. You are so excited. I love it. Like, it's like, you know, it's a wonderful thing. Anyway, so you said that you're the department entry for the grant. Is it possible? So it's a possible grant. We haven't received the revenue yet?
All right,
or we have received?
I think Olga is now working on fixing our revenue problem. We have received several different grants back. However, they've not been categorized to come back and shown in the revenue section of this. You see a $6,000 one, which is one out of, I think, the 5 we've gotten back in the last 4 years. Now, these are not big. We're spending $19,000. We get maybe half back, maybe a quarter back. But at least it's something. So it's worth going after. As I indicated, we had that separate $5,000 grant. Now we have a $25,000 grant that's out there that needs to be worked on that will be reimbursed to us as well.
Great.
Then we have the stipends and things like that. They pay for 50% of the stipends coming back, and that's $6,000 out of the. So, I mean, I believe we have gotten 2019, 2020, 2021, all reimbursed within the last year or two. I think 2023 just went out. We have to do 2024, and then we just signed up for 2025.
Good job.
Olga, you?
I just wanted to basically confirm that, yes, so those grants, it appears, you know, what was Jim to kind of look back at the history, and we have been receiving consistent grants, but some state agencies just a little more efficient in terms of the notifications to the municipalities and giving us heads up what that money is for. So sometimes when there is no notice that we receive, but the money is coming in, basically it goes to uncategorized revenue. It still goes back to the town, it's just not being assigned to the department where it actually belongs.
So it's there, it's just not.
It's just not
here.
Exactly.
Yes,
So
I
it's
got
still in it for the town.
They just send you a check that they don't tell you what it's
There's no
for.
details
No details whatsoever.
I wish I got checks that no one told me what they were for. It's a good problem to have, right?
Mayor?
Jim, I want to commend you on all this. I have one question. This is New Milford, but you know, emergencies sometimes overlap. Have you guys been given consideration? Sherman, you know, Warren, Kent.
All right, we have MOUs, memorandums of understanding between the fire departments, the ambulance corps, the police departments. Public Works now has one, so if something goes up in Warren, where they could call Region 5, which is our dispatch center for our emergency management. We could request a team out of New Milford to go help them. So there are all these different teams, and we could do the same thing now for them. We could potentially call up Kent and say, hey, can we get a truck, a guy, a tree crew, or whatever, to come in from the north end and help us out? We do have that capability, but in really big events, they're generally, like you said, multiple towns, etc. As we well know, unfortunately, that if we're going to have a very large event, you're on your own for a while. Eversource can't get here to start clearing your roads or anything else like that, and then you have to follow their protocols. Their first protocol is make safe. And everybody wants their power back on and things like that. Well, what they're actually doing is cutting the power off so they can get the trees and cleaned up. Overall, it gets things back quicker, but it doesn't look that way. Yeah. But we need to take a look at, and I've discussed it with the mayor, we need to be at least 3 days capable of handling situations on our own. And we try and get that out to the general community, talk to the general people that, if you're on oxygen, you're potentially going to need oxygen for 2 to 3 days. The thing that scares me the most with this is these new oxygen generators are the best things out there, except they have a 1-hour surplus. So if you lose power, you're out of oxygen in an hour. And nobody keeps tanks, backup tanks or anything else like more. And so you're talking to some older people or something like that. Do they have generators in their town? Now, we have 8 generators that we can try and get out to people. They're single service generators, so it's not going to run their house or anything else like that. But you put a generator, run an extension cord, and run their oxygen machine or something like that. And those are only available during emergencies. They can only go out during an actual emergency requirement. But that's the one thing that I'm most scared about. Before, people used to have 10, 15, bottles in their house of oxygen, and they were good for a couple of days. Now they're not. So it's that durable medical equipment that is the most scary thing out there. When you've heard from the senior center that our senior population is going up, and they're the most likely ones to actually need those. So keep that in mind.
Any other questions for Jim?
Comforting, Jim, thank you.
Thank you.
Jim, thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
All right, who do you have next? Fire Marshal?
Yes, sir. And we got Kevin and Martin. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, everybody. Our budget is flat except for
Just for the record, you just state your name.
Kevin Reynolds, Fire Marshal. Is flat. There's a 2.1% increase. That's just salaries alone. And if you see there, the Fire Marshal salary going from 87 to 89 there. Assistant Fire Marshal, Deputy Fire Marshal, 79 to 81. That's contractual. Office Coordinator, 26 to 27 and change. How do we, we'll get that to, this is why he's in the office with us. All right, materials and supplies, leveled 1,000. Fire Marshal Special Supplies, 5,800, no change there. Computer software is 8,000. And just so everybody's aware, it's Knox Connect, which is all the Knox boxes that are on all the buildings that are required to have them. There's a computer program software that the fire departments use to get into these buildings. That's $800 a year. Upcodes is a software that we use to look up all the fire safety codes, and they have everything listed there, building codes, everything. Blaze Tech software is in the process right now. What Blaze Tech is, there's going to be a mandate that we go by certain criteria in the code. It's not been adopted yet, but it's coming, and that is to help us write our reports. NFPA is going to be required certain things in our reports so that we're compliant. And then other office expenses, which could be whatever we need to support the office with computer software or anything along those lines. Basically, it's all for computer stuff there, the 2,000. Overtime is the same. This year, next year, $5,500 for overtime, and it's going to be for March and Ed when they go out to do Ed when he goes out to do fires. Professional development, that's staying the same at just over $6,000. Training, staying the same. Revenue is $70,000, and as of to date, we are at $50,460, and we still have $11,800 that has not been paid to our office yet. So the total budget is $153,000. It's going to go to $157,944. I'll just throw a few numbers out so people are aware. And this is 2024's stats. 1,656 inspections we've done for apartments and condos only. Commercial units, 170. And the commercial units, they're done either, it all depends on the type of building, the size of the building, 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. So it all gets busted up through the years. Open burn permits, we've done 33 of those. Food truck inspections, 24 of those for 2024, and I expect that to go much higher this year. Elephant's Trunk is, we go down the first day they open, and we go to all the inspections then, because sometimes we try to accommodate the people that have a unit that they just drive to a certain location. We'll work with them to get them inspected so that they can show up in town and be safe. Complaint inspections, we've done 25 in 2024, and that could be basically a fire safety complaint, it could be somebody burning complaint, everything changes. Hot work permits, we did 12 of those. Knox box setup, I spoke about those, where we actually go, we put the keys in or change the keys, put the information in the box, and we lock it up for them. Fire investigations, we did 81 of those. 61 violation follow-ups, so we do an inspection, there's a violation. We work with the people to get the violation corrected. We go back and confirm that it was corrected. That would be a violation follow-up. Presentations and events. We did 24 of those. That includes fire extinguisher training. We did 300 people at Kimberly Clark. This was in November we did that? Just this past November. We'll go out to any business. We'll go out to someone's home. Anybody who wants to do it, we're going to the senior center to do anybody that wants to participate there. And we also do fire safety talks at the senior center. Smoke and CO installations, we've done 30 in 2024. Sometimes the fire department will call us, say we were out at this place. We try to tell them to call us in so we can go out anytime, day or night, so that we can get the smoke detectors installed in the residence.
Any questions for Kevin?
Just a quick
Katie?
The fire hydrants. So I understand what a fire hydrant is, but what exactly, I see the price, the cost hasn't changed. Where is that derived from, the 126,000? By the number of hydrants?
The fire district.
But is it the number of hydrants?
Marshal.
What?
That's not the fire marshal. It's the fire
Oh, I'm
district.
sorry, I thought it was on your page, I'm sorry.
I thought you were
Kevin.
trying to trick me here.
I was. Actually, I
You're doing a
was.
good job,
I,
because
you're doing too well. I
kinda
had
figured it out.
I had to. No, but I'm just curious, is that due because of the number of them in the
It's
district?
the number, it's the cost that,
To
to
upkeep?
upkeep
Oh, so they,
it.
okay,
Yeah.
so they up,
Yep, the
keep it.
district
You
gives us the
don't.
number.
yeah.
We don't get involved with those. We can tell them to put one in, ask them to put one in, or where to locate it. We have that under our code, so.
Oh,
But then the town pays for the maintenance and everything
and
else.
who exactly does that?
Who does what?
The water company?
Yes, that's
Oh.
aquarium.
Okay,
Unless it's a private one, then it's up to whoever has the
Property
private
owner.
hydrant, it's their
Gotcha.
responsibility.
well, thank you,
So-
now I know.
Joe?
Thanks,
Okay.
Kevin.
Any other questions for fire marshal? Kevin, thank you.
Kevin, thank you very much.
Very
Anytime.
Have a good
Great
evening.
job.
Thank you, Kevin.
He's
Next
here.
is,
Oh, he's not here.
yep, Sullivan Farm. We'll try and get through it. Mr. Mencken fell on the ice.
Oh, no.
And he just got done with hip surgery, so
I'm sorry, Mr. Murray.
he fell on the ice.
Mark.
And he just got done with hip surgery, so
Well, that's no fun.
no. So I'll try and do as best I can. Any questions that you'd have, I would reach out. But page 38.
Is that the revenue?
Yep.
Yeah.
Page 38 is the revenue. As you can see, he's going up about 13,838. And when talking to him, he felt comfortable by increasing the revenue because of the production that they're able to do in the farm. And they also have an auxiliary property that they take care of. I believe it's up in Salisbury for extra maple syruping. And maple syrup cost for those that bought it, it's going up tremendously, and he feels very comfortable with that. And you can see where it says revenue from retail and wholesale sales. And then go to page 165. And you can see he did go up on some of his stuff, so personnel. You can see the salaries for the interns that are working on the farm. They employ a lot of our youth working on the farm. Repair and maintenance went up about $500. And then the self-sustaining was increased due to the fact of the increase in farm production, which will be offset by the revenue. If anybody has any questions like me to direct to Mr. Mencken, please feel free to do it now or later on.
I have a question. What was he
Katie.
doing walking around on the ice?
He was going to the sugar shack.
Oh, my gosh. Mark, if you're watching,
Yep.
you know what I'm thinking. It's been a bad
Mayor.
ice season.
We need the maple syrup.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to ask
Silly.
where the building program for the future is in the budget.
So the building program that was approved by Town
new building?
Council
Yeah, the
and Board of
renovation.
Finance out of the Waste Management Fund. So that wouldn't be in our book here. That would be out of the Waste Management account, not out of the operating account.
Doesn't show up here.
No. And currently, he's still working with the engineer on the site itself.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Any other questions with that? Okay.
We're on the plus side.
Yes, sir. Next, Public Works. So Jack,
Oh, we got everybody.
I'm gonna have to put my hat on for this one, Jack.
Good job.
What do you say?
Where all these people come from?
You can do it for us.
No, someone's got it
How you doing?
already. Good, how are you?
So far, so good.
How are you doing, Jack?
Good.
How you?
Hey, I'm just going to introduce people, then I'm going to turn it over to Holly Ann, our office manager. And she's going to go through the slides. And unfortunately, at the end of that, she has to leave. She has 2 children she has to go take care of. So. Oh, yeah, Jack Healy, Public Works Director. So yeah, I've introduced myself. We also have Mike Boucher. He's one of our highway operations people. We have Chuck Ballard. He's our highway engineer. We have Holly Ann Meserve. She's our office manager. We have Chris Jurgen, he's the road foreman. We have Nia Dubray, who's in the office. We have Jim Gran, who's our road superintendent, and then we have Dave, who's in charge of our facilities. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Holly Ann to go through the slides. And she's nervous. I'll tell you.
I'm Holly Ann Meserve. I'm the office manager for the Department of Public Works. And I love public speaking. So just going through, our mission statement is up here. It's really about, we're a team and we're for what's best for our town. And a few nice pictures, our guys plowing and the railroad station, which our facilities takes care of. All right. This is our personnel and administration, along with our organizational chart. Most of the people that Jack introduced tonight are up there. We also have our intern. Trying to think who else is up there. Our junior engineer. We do have a very large team, and it's between Public Works has highway, engineering, facilities, vehicle maintenance. I'm forgetting. And we really do we lean on each other and really depend on each other to keep the whole machine working. These are all of our highway and vehicle maintenance positions that we have, along with the guys out working throughout the year. There are 33 highway and vehicle maintenance positions, which are, the grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 and 4, the bucket truck operator, the yard supervisor, head mechanic, the mechanic 1, and then we have 3 mechanic 2 and welders. Throughout the year, these are some of the things our highway department does manage: 186 miles of paved roads, along with 27 miles of gravel roads, over 60 bridges, all the drainage systems through town, sidewalks, tree management, of course the winter maintenance, plowing, salting, keeping the roads safe for everyone, emergency response, and vehicle and equipment management. These are some numbers from 23-24 winter storms. Just, thought it would be good to see like the breakdown of, what it does cost us each year. And then when you have a year like this year we had back-to-back storms and ice and, this was a more mild year. That's up here. Not this year, the year that's up there. It also goes through, what they are doing throughout the year as well. Did we read those off? Okay. We handle all of the drainage, making sure all of the drainage systems are up to date. They are, replaced as needed. We go through, they send the cameras through to make sure there's, they're not falling apart. And if they are, we come up with a plan and our engineering team gets it taken care of. So this is the drainage, roads, and bridge projects that were completed this past year. Legion Road, and then there's some drainage and patching, which was done on, I believe that's Candlewood Lake Road, Paper Mill, and then, of course, the Mariel Bridge replacement is a big one. We have some ongoing projects, including intersection safety studies on Hine Hill, Elm Street, and Pumpkin Hill, as well as the Reservoir 4. There's some cleanup that needs to be done for Deep that they require. So those are upcoming. Let's see. Oh, and of course, the Route 7 sidewalk project. I do oversee the budget and the reimbursement process for that, because it is a grant. It's a state grant. So I do oversee making sure all of that paperwork is, filed in a timely manner and everything. Our junior engineer, James Sheridan, does the MS4 testing. He has his own mobile MS4 sampling lab. He does. He goes out to the different outfalls, sampling the water. We do have the reports, the MS4 reports, available on our website as well. Let's see. So for our facilities maintenance, they take care of the overseeing the buildings, the streetlight maintenance, security and fire protection, our alarm systems, radio tower, the generator maintenance program, energy management, town roof projects, and the MAX renovation and maintenance. And these are some of the projects from this past year that they took care of. The JPCC roof, they're doing that in sections. Overseeing that, the police department break room had a little facelift, and along with the trench drain at the PD as well. That's it. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to put some additional detail for you. One of the things I wanted to bring up right off the bat is we've had a tremendous amount of turnover in the department the last few years, and you will have seen up there where we have multiple grades. If you looked at the presentation 2 or 3 years ago, you would have seen grade 1 and grade 2 in the highway department. In the market today, when we have people retire or leave, and you put out an advertisement to hire someone, the requirement is to have a CDL. We don't get many, if any, applications for people with CDLs. The town made 2 or 3 years ago, made a decision to extend to a grade 3. That's a person with a CDL, but they've driven an oil truck or a transportation truck, but never done public works before. So we opened up for that. I didn't think it was fair to have a person come in with a CDL and have them pay at the same level as somebody who has years of experience. We also have trouble getting people with just CDL, so we've extended it out to a grade 4. And so that's a person who has an interest in getting to public works. And they may have done landscaping or driven trucks that don't have CDLs, and we bring them in. So when you look at our budget, in there you'll see a training budget of about $12,000. It's the same. What we do is we send people to classes. One of Mike's functions, you'll know if Mike's changed his job some, one of his functions is to take all these people who don't have CDLs. We actually train them down in our department so that they do get CDLs. We're able to move them up, and we've worked with HR to have an agreement with them that if you get a CDL through us, you have to stay for a while to work with us. So I just wanted to bring that up. In fact, if you look, Chuck's been in his position only less than 2 years. We promoted him from down in the garage up to being the road engineer. Chris Jurgen, he's been in his position about 16 months. He was in the highway group. We promoted him into being now the highway foreman. So Jim Gron, I think you've been 2 or 3 years. You were promoted up from the highway group to be up the road superintendent. So we bring people through our system, we bring them up and we put them into those positions, and we also train them so that they can do their jobs better. I will say that this year we're proud. We had 7 people graduate from T2 at various levels, showing that they're taking their classes, and usually there's something in their job description that requires them to do that, and they're doing that very well. Another thing we're proud of is we went 227 days without having anybody get injured. For Public Works Department, that's very good. Unfortunately, we had a person slip and fall. He wasn't hurt badly, but again, we have to record it, and so we're starting back again on doing that. Last year, or year they're still in, and I'm not going to go through everything we do. I mean, you are probably pretty much familiar with this. Some of the highlights, though, is like Chuck Ballard, he's working on school zone signs to help us reduce the speed around the schools. I mean, the sign doesn't do it, but if we put that sign up and it blinks, when it's on, the police department can actually enforce a lower speed limit and get higher fines. We're working cooperatively with them. Chuck's working on the Hind Hill Grove Street signalization. That's a grant that we're working under. We're also looking at East Street and Elm Street intersection improvement. The Route 7 sidewalk, you saw that. We are completing the Wellsville reconstruction. We wanted to be able to do that project this year. We're getting the easements. We still have to get easements and some other documents in place. So we will do that next. I'm already confident we'll do that next year, not get it in this year. That is a grant through a WestCog. We have to pay for the engineering up front, and we have to put some money into the project. But that is primarily with WestCog. Some money has to come from us. Pumpkin Hill, that project to improve that intersection. Right now, we're actually looking for Indian artifacts. The SHPO required us to do a study, and I think that's the last thing we have done. And then we're working on some other projects. We are working with ARPA money on the Old Bourbon Bridge. We're working on. We applied for a $4 million grant, which is what it would take to completely renovate the bridge. We didn't get it this time. They told us to come back again. That they pointed out a few things we could do to score better. We're filling those in, and we're going to go right back to them and ask for that money. One of the things I think we've done the last year, we finished the Mariel Road Bridge project. We also did a couple of bridges where we put new membranes down and new surfaces. One of the things we're trying to do is make sure we maintain our bridges so we don't have to get into a major reconstruction or a complete removal and reconstruction of bridges. So part of what we did this year on Paper Mill and on Waller Roads, we put down new membranes. The Reservoir 4 Dam, we are taking out the valves right now. That's the first step. Once we have the valves taken out and replaced, we can then draw the dam down a little, and we can start putting in the second phase, which will be the backside of the dam. If you go up there, it's too steep. DEP won't allow us to keep it. We have to shallow that out. The third phase will be the overflow weir. In the past year, we completed several relatively major drainage projects. There was one on Upland Road. We had to go in and for about $100,000 repair the drainage that comes off of the side hill. The one at the PD, you may have seen us working on that one between that and the building it's going to be completed. We did another one on Ford Hill, on Long Mountain, and we're working with scenic road committees on Bucks Rock Road and Hine Road. Just as an aside, we also support departments outside of ours by giving them technical support. Chuck and I both attend traffic authority meetings, alternating, depends on who's available. We support the municipal building committee. I go to all the meetings for that. Myself, Chuck, and Chris, and in the past Mike, attend, and we work with the municipal road committee on their presentations. I attend the riverfront committee meetings and act as a resource for LIBA. I review, as the town engineer, I review the planning and zoning permits and provide comments on those. Currently, I'm working with the fire department, Lanesville, on their project. I'm just sort of pointing them where to go with their next, make sure they follow the town protocol on doing that. And we try to support the grant writer and what she does. Okay, one moment here. So next year, a lot of the things I just talked about are going to be ongoing. We'll be doing road projects. One of the things that we're emphasizing in the upcoming year is roadside hazards. We're all concerned about car accidents and people getting hurt in their vehicles. One of the things that public works departments are responsible for are roadside hazards. Jim Braun has just completed a 237-mile round trip around all the roads in New Milford, looking and providing. I have a spreadsheet from Jim of what he identified as roadside hazards. We can't fix those all in one day, but what we can do is start identifying the ones we feel are the most critical, and we'll start to, we will be working on that. We need fill-in jobs at times, or just concerted effort in certain areas. Chris is identifying areas that we're gonna go in and just like do a SWAT and take care of it. Or if anybody's been familiar with Kaizen, we do a Kaizen in that one area. So we'll be doing that. Bridge projects, we have two that we're going to be starting in the next month, Van Car and Sand Road. They'll both be out of service. Those will be complete renovations. Those are 100% by the state and federal government. All we do is support them, but all the engineering, inspection, construction costs are all supported by the state, 80% by the federal, 20% by the state. Brookside Avenue Bridge, we get a 47% reimbursement on that. We hope to start that this summer. We have like 1 or 2 easements left to work on in that. Old Boardman Bridge, we'll continue that. Wheaton Road Bridge, we're almost done with the engineering on that. That's another 100% bridge. If you go by there, we've already derated it. The 2 outside beams are rusted through. So the bridge has been derated. That bridge the engineering is being completed. A year from now, I'll be standing before you telling you that bridge will start next March. It's 100% also. And just in the last week, once a year we get a report from the state of Connecticut, and it tells us their inspections on certain bridges. I thought we did very well. We have some that need to be worked on. So we are in the process of. I've already talked to Mark Burns at the state. He said he and Andrew Shields have told us, get in your applications, Jack, get them in, we'll put you in line. So we're looking at, for Grove Street Bridge and Still River Bridge, they're called maintenance projects. Now, they're not common, I will tell you that. The first 2 maintenance projects were done in Litchfield, and I did them before I left. The next 4 were in Berlin. I did them when I was there. I've talked to Mark. We can get them here. You don't have to do a complete renovation. As long as you have over $500,000 worth of expenditures, you can apply for the same grant. You don't have to renovate. You don't have to tear the bridge out. You can just do a renovation on it. I've talked to Mark. We can apply for those. So we're going to be looking at Grove Street, Still River. Chuck's working on 2 at Walker Brook, Boardman Bridge, the regular Boardman Bridge, we will be doing an application for that also, and then Squire Hill. We're planning on, Chris is looking at doing some renovation work on the Sand Pit Road Bridge. That, the ADT there is so small. We got a score of it fair. I looked through it. I think it's work that we can just do, and so we won't have to. It's the ADT is very low, so I think that's something we'll do ourselves, and we're working on an inspection program. So those are some of the things that we're looking at doing in the upcoming year. Okay.
Jack, just real quick, another thing too is if you could also talk about how you help, and you gave a couple examples with different departments. Also, our partnership with the Board of Education.
Yes.
We do some things, if you can talk to the Board of Finance, Town Council knows watching, what are some of the things that we do to help Mr. Cunningham and the Board of Education?
Well, we've helped them with their roof projects. We help them like with their septic up at Scatico School. We work with them on that. I'm working cooperatively with Matt on a design for the parking and redesign of the traffic flow up at the North School and Scatico. We go back and forth all the time on questions about the HVAC system or solar panels. We also tell him if he needs help with some sidewalks, or if we need to plow something, we do that for them. Oh yeah, Craxel. I'm sorry, Mike. What else did we do for Mike? Oh, excuse me. Oh yeah, the bucket truck. We cooperatively, and that's something I'm going to give Dave Martin credit for. Dave, we've always had this lift, and it's very inconvenient to move around town, and it's just not good. We'll leave it at that. And so we went to the mayor, and Dave got some prices on a bucket truck. You don't need a CDL to run it. You just have to have a medical card. So Dave looked at doing it, and then he said, well, he talked to Mike at the time and said, can I share it with you? Then we talked to the school, and Matt was like, hey, this is great. I can go up on the buildings and do work. So that was a cooperative purchase. It's housed at Public Works, but all three departments use it, and I think even once the WPCA's bought it from us. So we do support them that way. We support the WPCA periodically. We shared the purchase of that camera with the WPCA, and I think we also purchased cooperatively a trailer for the camera. So that's shared. They need it for their sewer lines. We need it for those pictures you saw that Holly Ann put up of the storm sewer. We took them with those.
And also, I know with our in-house tree program, you've helped take down some large trees, not only for the Board of Ed, but also, for those that don't know, the cemeteries.
Yep.
And some of the reason being is Judge Marty is the septarian for that. But if a cemetery was ever to go bust, then it's up to the town of New Milford to take care of that cemetery. So some of these people that take care of some of the older cemeteries are 80 years old right now, and sometimes they need some assistance, and we've been able to create that partnership to help.
Paul Thero's been in contact with me, and we're going to go in and do some repair on the road in the cemetery this spring for him.
Walter.
I don't know if these are questions or comments. Are we finished with the high school roof? Okay, never
yes.
mind.
No,
All right,
we're done.
The answer is yeah.
The answer is yes, and I'm laughing because today the mayor and I got an email saying, "Are you going to pay the last bill?" So I was going to ask the mayor if he wanted me to go ahead and sign the bill, and we did have. So in a windstorm, we had a little bit of damage on one part. It's already been fixed and taken care of. But yes, the project is done.
Okay. I didn't realize we own Boardman Bridge, or is that state?
Excuse me?
The Boardman Bridge.
The one that we use?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that is ours.
That's ours.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I got the report back, Walter, and there's some on the. This is one of those where you take a look at the report, and I'm saying to the mayor, I want to go for a grant, and I've talked to Olga already. We're going to lay out the bridges over the next 5 years, and maybe longer, and we'll put this one in for about 3 years from now. And we want to keep it open. So what we're going to do primarily is we have to do some welding on the steel beams underneath it. There's some other miscellaneous things. We may have to put a new membrane on the top, but we can keep the bridge open while we're doing all of this.
Oh. I know on the capital budget, you were asking for radios, 63,000. The mayor cut it. Was that a want or was that a need?
I believe when the mayor cut I think we moved it.
I'm sorry.
The radio towers. We didn't cut it, Walter. If you look, a couple years ago, the mayor, we had meetings with the mayor, and we didn't, no place in the budget was there money to maintain the towers. Dave was going up there and sort of standing on his hands and waving and trying to fix them. We had no money. The mayor, what is it, about 3 years ago, Mayor, right? We put money into the budget. What was happening though, if you look in our budget, you'll notice where we try to take and clean up some of the, I call it clean up, I'm out of business, and so I like to see line items. We took things like permitting and certain things and put them in line so you can see that it's going to be permitting. That one we moved out of just radio towers, and we moved it to, there's one under Dave's budget for radios, and we moved $56,000 to that line. We didn't cut it, we moved it, just so it's clearer where it belongs.
All right, I think, unless I read it wrong, I think I want Mike's job on the budget book in 142. 2025 highway foreman, 85,700. 2026, 171,000.
No.
I want Mike, I want your job, Mike.
We all want it, Walter. It's two people.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
You know, had to be two of you guys.
We've assigned Mike with all the changes that we're making and the change in the levels of people. We made Chris the guy who took work 85 hours. Mike now is the guy who does the training, the tree work. Make sure all the we've got more and more technology that we're working on. He manages that. He's working on our accreditation for the department. So Mike does a lot of other things that allows Chris to concentrate just on the guys.
Mike, I was trying to help you out. Mike, I'm sorry.
And Walter, piggybacking on that too. So sometimes, as the team will tell you, some of these storms, especially ones we've experienced lately, sometimes begin in the late afternoon and go all night. So the goal obviously is to counterbalance.
That makes sense.
So when Chris needs to take time off and we strenuously tells him sometimes you need to do that, then Mike would come in and
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Alex and then Mary Jane.
Thank you. Hi, Jack.
Hey.
And guys, thank you so much. You're budgeting for a full staff, right? Full crew.
Yes.
Correct. So is there a net increase or decrease in the number of bodies? Because when I started working through it, there's shifts, seems like there are fewer lines in the upcoming, but there's stipends in here and there, so.
The half a person.
Broken down grade 1, 2, 3, and 4. According to their contract, grade 4s are hired for CDLs. They have a certain amount of time to acquire their CDL and they get an automatic promotion. Same with the 3s. If they complete their training within the 12 calendar months, they then get promoted to a grade 2. So it's not necessarily the easiest for, say, salary employees to say, okay, 25, 26 budget is salary. Individuals for my team, some of them are going to move, fluctuate, possibly once if not twice throughout the next budget year.
No, it is complicated when you look at, I know, because I tried to line them up.
And we have that half a person and Chris's team too.
Another half.
Well, that,
Oh, the
go
other.
ahead. You-
I have one driver that, again, we created this position 3-4 years ago, give or take. And it's worked out well in my opinion. So I have this person as a plow truck driver for the winter from November to April. And then that individual resides back to Dan Calhoun and Park and Rec Department. And then they go to the mowing and the park maintenance and stuff like that for the summer months.
Okay, great. I have a couple more. We heard tonight some concern about the newer roads not holding up well. Some people have said some things. We've gotten emails with photographs, etc. Do you want to address that, Jack, or what do you want to do with that?
I can address it. I've talked to the mayor, and I was before I came here. I've been writing a explanation.
Okay.
And it almost sounds like I'm going to. We build the road. See, there's a discussion, and these emails have been coming for several years. And there's an assertion in there that we build roads to DOT standards. We do not. When I arrived 6 years ago, I had a conversation within the first 2 months with the mayor, and if you remember that conversation. At that point, the town was what they call boxing out or constructing roads per the DOT standards. They were costing at that point about $1.2 million a mile. My background is actually manufacturing, but my background in public works was in Litchfield and Berlin. We didn't do that. We because the towns are small, they don't have that kind of cash. What we do is there's a matrix that you can do on a road, and you've probably seen it happen in your roads. We can either just crack seal it. That's that little, you see the squiggly lines around the road. We can do a fog seal, which is like what you would do on your driveway. We put down a thin coat that, what that does is it seals the pores so the water won't get in it. We can do a chip seal, a simple chip seal. We put the oil down, we put the stone down it. That's the one you see. We probably do anywhere between 10 and 20 miles of chip seal a year. It's a very cost-effective way of extending the roads longer. There's a double chip seal. You put down the oil, you put down the chip seal, and you put the oil on top again. It's a better. Then there's what we did on Grove Street, Aspetuck Ridge, Candlewood Lake Road South. It's a rubberized chip seal. The state likes that. They've done it on Route 4 in Goshen. They've done it on Route.
I like it better too.
You like it too?
You ever trip on a chip sealed road?
Oh yeah.
Dude, it hurts. The
And you get stuck in
rubberized
your
stuff's not
sneakers.
so bad. I know, rubberized stuff's not so bad.
Yeah, and you like it. It's just more costly. But like on Grove Street, we talked about doing it. We were debating between doing. Well, the next thing you can do an overlay. I don't like overlay personally. I just don't like them. You put them down, and I know Mike said we've been pretty good with them the last year or two. You put them down, you'll see it fracture within a year, and it's just. Then there's what they call a mill and pave, and some of the roads that are in those pictures are mill and pave roads. And that's where you mill off like 2 inches of asphalt, and you come back with 2 inches of asphalt. And that's a nice fix for like 5 years, 3 to 5 years fix. Then there's what we do, a lot of, and that's the reclaim. You'll see us go in. That's when you see us out there. We grind up the road. One of the things with the Milford roads they're old roads, and they probably weren't built with a base. They were. Like the road I live in, Litchfield's on a gosh darn ledge. The ledge was sticking out of the road. And these old roads are they don't have a base. The idea, what I talked to the mayor about back then was we would come in and we'd do reclaim. What that does, it grinds up the surface and it gives you at least a 3-inch base because you've taken all that oil and all that tar, you've blended it, and now you can form it and you can roll it and you get a shape to the road. Then we put down 3 inches of asphalt. It's not a box out, but it's a much more cost-effective way of doing it. And what I explained to the mayor, while we're doing this, and we're into now, this will be my 7th summer, believe it or not. Fine, time flies, we're having fun. That it's time for us to start going back and looking at some of the roads we did 7 years ago and evaluating them and saying, do we want to go back and do another chip seal or something on those? Because if you can get the 20-year cycle, which is what we're striving for with the road, you would do that reclaim. 7 years, do a chip seal. 14 years, do a chip seal. 20 years, I'll be retired. Somebody can come back and they can reclaim it. I'm not working until I'm 100. So, yeah, you'll do maybe the mayor will still be here. But you come back and who's ever here, you guys can pave it. And that's the idea. Because the cost of a road, Chuck just did this for me today, and I'm going to correct me if I'm wrong. The mill and pave is $380,000 per mile. mill and pave with drainage is 550,000.
Right.
A reclaim is $680,000 per mile. A box, if we take Wellsville and extrapolate a Wellsville, it's like $2 million a mile. So now to address, you asked me about my comments, we're doing this. I get each one of those emails, and Chris is responsible to input that into, just as anybody here, if you send me an email, if you send us or go on SeeClickFix, it automatically goes into our cartograph system. We go out and we look at each one of those places. You know, I'm not going to tell you that every road is perfect, but you know, they're in very good shape, and they're in much better shape than they were.
Mm-hmm.
Some of what's happening too is you're picking the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's been crucial.
I've been driving on roads all over the state because my wife likes to go shopping, and so we've been going. Like she's up with my daughter. Just moved to Stockbridge. She lives like right behind the red line. Lucky kid. So we go up to see her. Route 118, Route 202, Route 4, Route 7. I drove it today. Route 7 going up north. The water's going over the road, just like if you pictured that. I had a picture of the road in front of my house, what Litchfield did last year. They did a box out. The water comes down, goes across it because they super elevated the curve. The water comes down, goes this way, gets the other side, then the intersection comes in, goes back around. In some of these cases, it's just some water because the water's coming out of the bank of the road, has no place to go. Everything's frozen. Some of it's coming out of driveways. We have an ordinance that says you're not supposed to have water come out of driveways.
Right.
If I try to do that, the mayor's phone would go off the hook. I try not to have people call him. If I was to go to everybody's house here and tell them you can't have water come out of your driveway, his phone would go off the chain, and you'd have a lot of people in here complaining. The other part of this is it's on him. It's on these two guys. As part of a road program, you're responsible for maintaining the roads. Anybody tells you when you have insurance on your town that the moment that somebody from your department goes out on the road, the town's protected. In Litchfield, I was a selectman and the highway foreman and the engineer and the public works director and the road foreman. So I used to get up at 2:30 in the morning, and as soon as my truck hit the road on Maple Street, the town was covered. And we would, because I was out checking the roads. Where I'm going with this is he's responsible, and he will call out 1, 2, 20, whatever he thinks. But one of the things I ask all these guys to do is to go out and look and to see how many complaints we get on these roads that we're getting the email. Because if everybody's complaining, there's something wrong. How many cartographs do we have? We don't have any. We haven't had any accidents in those areas. So Chris goes out and checks them, and we make sure that we manage them. Now, the Mariel Bridge, that came up with the very first picture, I think. And I'm just saying to you, I called Keegan at WMC. They've designed over 200 bridges for the state of Connecticut. And he said, Jack, just don't put the snow. If you notice where the road splits, there's a lot of asphalt there, and I'm looking to see how we can change that a little bit. So I tried to put a little garden in there or something, Bob, just get some flowers. But if we don't put the snow there, very little snow comes off and goes to the sides. If anybody goes by way from here, 118 to Route 8 to Harwinton, as you go over Route 8, I live right next to that. That road does that. It's a super elevated curve on that bridge. After a storm, the snow goes all to that upside of that bridge. When it melts, guess where it goes?
It goes.
So all I'm saying is I think we're doing a good job. We have a team, and everybody here is on that team. There's about 80 years of experience looking at the roads. We meet every Monday morning to go over our projects. They spend, and I should probably Chuck talk at this point, they spend an inordinate amount of time of cammering the pipes, planning the roads. We pay Jim Grant. I don't see him in the summertime. Coming about April something, Jim's out inspecting roads during construction the entire summer. You'll see his white truck out. He keeps logs, he keeps records. James Sheridan, who's not here, he's on his way to Chile. He does the same thing. Paul, who's our new temporary or part-time inspector, is going to help offset some of that. You guys have anything to add, or did I?
Just the fact that the DOT standards are more geared towards a long straight road, and the Milford, doesn't have a lot of
So we're fighting a lot of different things trying to get these roads right. So you're gonna have spots where there's.
I hope people could hear that, because you weren't talking through the mic. I hope people could hear that.
I'm sorry, Mike, what did you?
No, I just said that DOT standards are more geared toward long, straight roads, and New Milford does not have a lot of that. So there's different elevations, different widths, the roads get narrow, they get wider. I mean, there's just so many different things you fight. You're never gonna get a perfect road out of it. That's all.
You know, Bob, I walked out the road with you in the fall. We talked about, you know, how we're gonna fix that road. We take into account what the residents say.
Okay, that's awesome. So, wait, sorry. Not quite done.
Oh.
One more. Thank you very much for that. I thought it was important we addressed it, because.
Yeah, I hope that was a good explanation for you.
Very good, I think, very good. I hope, right? Okay. Mr. Mayor, could you address the 1.2 million cut for the Century Brass expenses? Just so
Absolutely.
people
Sure,
know
so
what it
people
is.
can
Yeah.
understand. Currently, we're going through the permitting process. That will take a greater length of time. So we're going to hold off on those expenditures, because right now we don't have the permits to do that work.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I get my question? It's off of Alex's thing. Can I just ask, how many complaints have you had about the particular roads that were brought up?
He said none.
How many has he sent in?
Say what?
How many has he sent in?
No, I'm asking, aside from that, how
That's
many?
the only complaint we've
That
got.
was a 0 that you had there,
That's
right?
the only complaint
And
we've got.
how many cars would you say drive on that road? Lots, huh?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, thank you.
I have
For
something.
what you do.
Mary Jane, and then
So Jack, what are your concerns about the potential cuts from the federal government on bridges and grants and?
Oh, yeah.
We just don't know, and what happens if?
Actually, it's a good question, because I could tell you, I read the paper way too much. And as soon as that came out that they were cutting, I called Mark Burns, Andrew Shields, Tom Weldon, all of the people that we use through the state. They were getting the same questions. They went to Garrett Euclidito, and he came back and said, all of your money is secure. That's why I was going to hold on Van Carr and Sand Road, frankly. I talked to the mayor briefly about it. I said, if I can't get assurances, I can't commit the town to doing it. We have been assured on Sand Road, all of the bridges that I've mentioned that we've got grants, we've been assured that that money is there, the state has it.
Okay,
Good question, though. I was concerned.
Yeah, it is very concerning.
Rolando?
Yeah, mine was how are you, Jack? Great job you guys do here for our town, and we thank you, especially this winter that's been treating us a little harsh.
Yeah.
But the way you were describing that problem that you have with some of the roads where the water comes off of people's driveway, is that the problem you're having with Erickson Road off of Pumpkin Hill? Because that road is terrible. So I'm surprised you don't get complaints about that road that, you know.
Do you need to hear me?
Yeah, there's several driveways on Erickson.
Yes.
That water, it almost looks like it's
Constant.
coming out of their basement.
Yeah.
And it's streaming right down the driveways. You know, and it's just going right into the road.
And that's why that road is like that, right?
The first part, as you know, when we get to Erickson, the second, we get to just before the bridge, and that part was, see, that's one of the roads I would do and review on this year.
Yep.
Because it's about 7 years.
Oh, yeah.
So.
That's
But anyway,
bad.
Jim Moran is our road superintendent.
Also, with all that water and the cold weather we had, we had a lot of frost heave breaking the road up.
Right.
And also that frost heave causes the water to enter the center of the road.
And break.
It doesn't go off the ground as well.
Thank you.
Hey, Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. I want to make sure that the complaints have been addressed pretty well, and the compliments don't really come up too much. But I think the guys really do a good job. They've done a fantastic job on the Upland Road Bridge and the road, but you had that one blowout
Yeah.
that nobody knew. We had all that rain,
Yep.
and I said, holy crap, everything came down.
Really?
It ended up going into my driveway, going into my lawn, and going into right. Always told Marsh years ago, I says, you're gonna give me a pond down there. Well, I got one. So anyhow, that's the compliment. I wanted to make a mention on Boardman Bridge and Old Boardman Bridge. Old Boardman Bridge is in the works to be renewed. That will be your responsibility. The reservoir, in my history in that seat, we called it a disaster waiting to happen. Nobody ever wanted to talk about it. So when I heard you were working on that, I said, good. So I hope you do a good job. Seems like you're going to get that thing so it functions. And we will not have that 1 million gallons of water going downtown. Keep that in mind. And lastly, you know me, I'm an invasive plant guy. And I keep thinking about Japanese knotweed and the tree of heaven. You guys have a lot of that. Now I work down at Cornwall, and they give me carte blanche, do everything. So I'm not saying that I want the job. I'm saying I want you to take a look at that. I do not think that is getting as bad as some people like to bring up. But the tree of heaven is going to get bigger and better and worse.
So our tree crew has a standing order to remove them in the town right away when they see it.
Well, you got them on Grove Street.
Yeah, they're all over.
You
The
got them
lantern
down?
flies on its way. It's gonna be stronger this year, and that's their target tree, so.
Be careful because they regenerate from the roots. So you can cut them down.
Yeah.
You can dry them out in your lot out there. But that stuff is going to come back. I think that does it.
Hey, Bob, can I tell you a good story about the Japanese knotweed? And Mike knows this one. I am, because of my background doing environmental work, I don't like herbicides and pesticides. I rail against them. Anyway, I come out, I forget the day. I was working here, and I went to leave to go home. I live in Litchfield by the Wisdom House. I go out there, and I go up my usual way. I go out Aspetuck, and I go up Wells. And I'm looking all along Wells, and all the Japanese knotweed is dying. It's brown. I'm going, what the heck did somebody spray? I followed it, and it followed all the way along 202 to Litchfield. I went down Constitution Way, because that's, you know how Constitution Way is there. It's got it everywhere. I went down, followed it there, followed all the way down to the, and I'm going, what the heck? Who the heck's spraying this stuff? I called DEP, and I called the chemical control group, and I said, we got somebody out there. So it ends up the person who's the chairman of the wetlands group in Berlin, who I used to be, calls me back, says, Jack, is this you? I said, yeah. She said, no, nobody was spraying. She said you had a frost last night.
Oh.
So, a little embarrassing, but anyway, it was gone. So we'll just have some more frost.
That's what kills them.
Yeah.
The top.
So we can all make mistakes.
Thank you. 2 comments, both very positive. I lived in New Jersey in a town that is a tenth the size of New Milford with pretty much the same number of residents. And I was a council member, and our council was set up a little bit differently where council members oversaw various town departments, and I was always on DPW and finance. I love DPW. You guys are like, you're like rock stars. You do such a great job. It's incredible. And then for my second comment, I lived in Buffalo, New York for a winter. Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo?
Whatever you want to call it. And it was hideous. And just a really, really bad winter. They obviously are very skilled, in their snow removal and road repairs, but it is, excuse me? You guys do a better job than Buffalo. Absolutely a better job than Buffalo. With your pre-treatment and everything, I'm always saying that. It's really spectacular. So thank you so much for all you do. Thank you.
Any other questions for Jack or for the team? Joe?
So, I don't have anything negative to say. And I was hoping to find something, but it seems like you have everything under control, which is great. I do have a question about the repair for Boardman Bridge. You said you're going to keep the road open, the bridge at Boardman Road, technically, right?
Yeah.
Because Boardman Bridge is the other bridge.
Yeah, they're both called Boardman Bridge. If you go to the DOT.
Right. Yeah.
So I think what we do is we call one old and one new.
One new.
Yes.
Yeah. So you have to do welding repairs. How are you going to keep the bridge open and do
One
those
lane.
repairs? One lane and then crane underneath, because I fish there and you don't want to try to go in the water down there.
No, we're not
It
going to.
moves.
No, but what we'll do is we'll close one lane and we'll go over that way, and then we'll go to the other way and come in and do that. I don't want to close that because of the traffic. You know, got O&G there. They have a difficult time coming this way because of the overpass by the old Nestle's factory. And the other part is, if let's say for sake of argument, they're able to go through there and not rip off the top. When they come down here, they can't take a left coming out of Youngsfield Road. So now we force them to go up onto Patriots Way, which should never be a road, but we use it as a road because it's a parking lot. And I'm always afraid that some kid is going to, I remember how I was at 6 years old, come out of the car and run across it. So I'm always worried we're doing that. So we will come up with a way of keeping that bridge open while we do the repairs.
Okay.
Good idea.
The
Any other
bridge
questions?
there at Young's Field, the train bridge. I know there was mention of trying to renovate it at some point, but I guess
You mean the one that's the state?
the single lane, right? The overpass bridge at Young's Field.
Where you go under the trestle. And,
Under
Right
the
by
trestle,
the-
yeah, under the train.
Oh, you mean the train one?
Yeah,
That's on them.
yeah.
that's on the.
Yeah, it's not ours. We're trying to work with them on, there's a culvert down on West Street that I'm working with the mayor on.
Not easy.
Any other questions for Jack? Okay.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Jack.
team.
Thank you all very
Thank you.
much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Largest state bridge in the state.
Thank you,
Thank you.
for being here.
Have a good night.
Okay, page 197.
No.
Yes.
Oh, there's another one?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I wasn't here.
Or 195,
Oh,
sorry.
that's the one we didn't do
Yep,
yesterday.
that's the one we didn't do yesterday. 195. Sorry,
I thought I was
Walter.
going home.
Sorry, Walter.
All right.
Okay. All right.
197.
You know when everybody's got their sheets up. Okay. All right. So this is the Economic Development Office, and as you'll see, the first line on page 194 first, you'll see the personnel line has risen from 43,000 to, I believe it's 90,000. And the reason being is the first piece is the Economic Development Administrator position. And as you heard from Mr. Baker, and then you heard from Laura, there's four people in that office. And what I've heard from those that try to go through the process, Joe's had some very good work through the OpenGov. Unfortunately, for some of the other people, it becomes a very tedious process, especially when they don't know how the process works in New Milford, especially doing new development. And what ends up happening is the projects come in with the applications halfway done, and then per state statute, it has to go to the zoning commission. The zoning commission then can't do anything with it, pushes it back. When they push it back, that kind of then adds to their pipeline. And then if you have somebody, whether it be a small a business owner or developer, they've already put their money out, so they're already paying principal and interest on their investment. So the longer that this process takes, the more costly it will be. So to make a long story short, we've put in an economic development administrator, and what they do is they do the hand-holding for the process. So once the process, we start with a DST, which is a Department Services team. They're there with us. The Department Services team consists of our land use boards, fire fire marshal, building inspector, Jack Keeley or someone from DPW. We'll also have our health department if needed. We'll then go through whatever project that's looking to do, make recommendations. They then put in their application, and the application could go one of two ways, right? They could get an approval. With the approval, they get a conditional sheet of what they need to do. Or if they don't, and they're told that they need to come back, there's also, the commission gives them what they need to do to continue to get their application. So what happens is Denise Whitman is the person that has this role, then works with these people or entities to get the, whether they be conditional conditions or the conditions needed to bring back to the zoning commission in a very timely fashion. And that frees up more time for Laura, for Jim, to move forward in the process. So that's what Denise does. Also, people that are interested in whether they do an expansion or renovation, she also does the touch points. We make sure, and especially for businesses that are already here, we try and reach out every 7 days for those that are interested in seeing, what other things they would need as far as expansion if they've expressed an interest in looking to expand their business. So she does that touch point as well for that position.
So we have one administrator then?
Yep.
With all these departments plugging in? Okay.
Yes. The next one is the Community Information Administrator. This would be a new position if approved. This position is housed half-time in Economic Development, half-time in the Mayor's office. And if you'll see when you look at the budget book itself, you'll see that this position basically, I took money out of the tourism line and I took money out of the marketing contractual services line to pay for this position as it is. Currently, we have 3 major websites. We have the town website, and I know I've heard it from people here that this website is old, which it is. It's at end of life, and some of the services from QCent, who is our hosting, saying that those things are coming to end of life. So we either need to renew and update the website, either with them or someone else. We also have the New Milford Now website, and we have the New Milford Economic Development website, all 3 of them together. Those need to have content put in them and to be managed, and that would be part of what this position would do. The position would also write the content, the material content, both for New Milford Now, which has transgressed not only into a tourism website, but a community website, engagement website. As we've seen with the newspapers, whether they be the News Times or whether they be the Spectrum, they're all being purchased by one entity, which is Hertz Media right now. There isn't that much community engagement within those because they only have one person that happens to do that. Had a lot of people express interest that we need to be more engaged within our community, whether it be talking about wonderful events that are going on, to achievements that our townspeople achieve, different type of community stuff. So this New Milford Now would take part in that as well as do what it does for the tourism sites, as we're trying to grow that business as well with tourism. Which you'll see if you haven't been on that New Milford Now site. That is part of it is to create, for those that want to do a daycation, let's say from Lower Fairfield County, Manhattan, they want to come up into our area rather than go to or in tandem with a Kent or a Washington or a Litchfield, is to make sure they also shop and dine in New Milford as well. So it's all those focuses. Then you have the New Milford Economic Development website, and that's set up for those that are looking to think about growing a business here, expanding their business, or putting a new business in to New Milford. And then that would also house all of the opportunities, whether they be SBA lending, how that works through the federal government, to the state, through the partners that we use, whether it be the SBDC, the DEECD, putting in all of those hyperlinks to there as well. And then that would also be a lead generation for us. And then that would filter into the mayor's office. And myself or Denise would work on making those calls as well. Mayor.
Thank you. Is that on page 190, was it 197? 98. There's no money in there. Are you going to put money in there today?
So it would be, Mayor, it would be 195 and 194. That's the Office of Economic Development. So page 198.
94 and 5.
Yeah. Yeah. 198 is, yeah, that's just an empty page.
194 and 195 are where it's.
Yeah, 194, Mayor, and you'll see where it says personnel, and then the breakout is on 195. And then you'll see in the contracting services, that number's been reduced. You have your digital marketing, your printing, fireworks that we have been always been contributing to, and then the consultant and contractual. And then the consultant and contractual, some of the things, as Laura talked about before, we'd be looking at. Once she gets some free time, a zoning rewrite. That's one of the things the zoning commission is looking at. As Mary Jane had talked about before, there'd be money put in there for planning if we needed to hire a consulting firm, some of the bigger projects that we're going to be looking at in those areas. And then you have the film commission, which is the same. Other professional services are the same, materials and supplies the same, membership and workshops the same, and then the appropriation annually, which we have been doing for many years, to the Economic Development Corporation. Does anybody have any questions?
I
Diane?
have a question. I just want to make a comment. Having used the economic development, office and the roundtable when we started up our bagel business, it was incredibly helpful and very, very well run.
Thank you, Diane. Yes, thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Walter?
A motion, are we adjourning or recess? A motion to recess, Mr. Chair. Until tomorrow.
And that's for the Board of Finance, Diane?
Second.
Yeah, you got a
I
second?
make a motion to recess.
Second.
Yes.
I make a motion to recess the mayor's
Till tomorrow.
group.
Till
Right now.
tomorrow.
The mayor's
Okay.
group? Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.